G'day and welcome to On The Esky, a sports podcast where we like to wrap up the week that was in sport, drink a few squee moi mois and dribble on about the big stories that unfolded in the wide world of sport this week. In today's show, we have the IPL. Gujarat Titans win the IPL in their first season. We'll announce an On The Esky team of the tournament. Plus, England playing New Zealand in an interesting matchup. First time coach Brendan McCullum and first-time England skipper Ben Stokes playing against the country that they're from, New Zealand. Fixtures released in the Aussie Summer of Cricket. We've pretty much got non-stop cricket now internationally till about February. That's a bit of fun there. The weeks that were in the NRL and the AFL, a lot of buys, but obviously State of Origin only 3 days away. NBA Finals, Celtics, Warriors, international soccer. Socceroos face their biggest matchup in quite some time, do or die for them. Plus a big final round, hot off the press. Witnessed one of the biggest fights in Australian boxing history. Unfortunately, George Kambosos, for us Aussie fans, goes down to Devin Haney. We'll recap the fight. Plus UFC Fight Night and a big UFC 275 upcoming. F1, tennis, golf, it's all fucking happening. If that's too many sports for you, check out the timestamps. You can skip the sports that you like or just watch the whole damn thing. Subscriptions, etc., etc. On my right, I have Monkey Magic. Monks, we like to shout a beer here on the Esky to kick off the show. Who are you shouting a beer? How are you going?
Going well. So this week I'm going to shout a beer to Marcus Ericsson. We talked a little bit about the Indy 500 last week and the crush that Colton Herter had. Marcus Ericsson won the Indy 500 last week. Not too much more to say about that. Former F1 driver. He moved across to IndyCar a couple of years ago. Has had varying success, has had a couple of first place over the years. Indy 500, probably one of the more synonymous races with IndyCar over in America.
Is it the biggest event in their racing calendar?
It'll be close to it. It's at Indianapolis, which is why it's called Indy. But it's,
go Colts.
Yeah, it is definitely one of their biggest races in that format.
I suppose it is a little bit different to NASCAR series as well. So IndyCar's kind of the open cockpit racing, whereas IndyCar's more like our V8 sort of racing over there.
Very good, Marcus Ericsson. If you haven't already had a couple, enjoy one more.
That's it.
And on my left, I've got Shauno. How are you? Who are you shouting a beer this week?
I'm going to shout out Jared Croker from the Canberra Raiders. News came through during the week after we mentioned his dislocations of the shoulders. He's going to need a shoulder reconstruction, which I think's got 6 months, if not longer, time frame on it. That means, of course, his season this year will be done. And the way the Canberra back line's kind of going, and with the recurring shoulder injuries, not great for a rugby league player. That potentially could be his career as well, getting on in years. As well for him. So I think it's worth a beer for his service to the Raiders, a very long time player there, of course. Had unfortunately a very quick fall of form towards the end of his career, mostly due to injuries, as we've now kind of realised and know of more of, with the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the whole lot.
Everything, man.
Yeah, he's had a rough trot of it the last 18 months, and shoulder reconstructions to look forward to it. So it's not something you want as a professional athlete. So I think he needs a couple of beers to get through all that. So that's the one's on us, Jared.
Interesting career. Was on track to break all kinds of points scoring records.
The only one currently that potentially could have caught some of the records that Cam Smith set for point scorers. And I don't think there's anyone kind of in that conversation yet either to even get close to that. So a bit unfortunate, but it is, I guess, the difference between playing hooker and playing in the centres, guess also the longevity and immortal status of Cameron Smith as it will. So
arguable GOAT.
Yeah,
but maybe someone that's going to go down in Canberra Raider history, definitely. Is the GOAT of Canberra Raiders point scoring. So enjoy your beer, courtesy of Jared Croker. I'll be shouting Alu Kual, a beer. Maybe not a name that many listeners are familiar with, but
let's say yet.
Yeah, maybe yet. Check him out, Sudanese-Australian soccer player who has scored one of the best goals that I have seen in recent memory, the old scorpion kick. So the under-23 Socceroos, they're playing in Uzbekistan at the moment, if you don't mind.
Of all places, yeah.
Yeah, of all places. Shout out to Borat. In verbatim, fuck you, Uzbek. Arch enemies of Kazakhstan. But Alu Kual, he went up for the cross came in, sort of went up for the header, and then looked like the ball was way behind him, and he just goes, no worries, I'll chuck the right heel out and scorpion kick this into the goal. Mate, if it's international soccer, so I don't think it can't be go to the Puskas Award. Then they give it out for the best goals in club competition. But had it been scored for a club, geez, definitely a shout to take that one out. Enjoy that, and he reckons he can do it again. That article that I sent you boys, he was pretty confident. He's pretty confident. So pretty crazy goal. Check that one out.
Yep.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, Alu Kual. His goal for the under-23 Socceroos in their AFC qualifiers over in
crazy.
Fuck you, Uzbekistan.
Yeah. That game ended up as a draw though.
Did end up as a draw. No idea how that team's going. To be honest, just saw this in the Twitterverse in the Twitterverse this morning and couldn't ignore it. So beers on me, Alu Kual. Mop of the week. We like to hand out a mop for some dodgy behaviour, some kind of silliness that's occurred during the week. We have given ourselves mops. We like to hand them out. Yep. You can dish it, you can take it, etc., etc. Mark, you spotted this one, and it's pretty moppy.
It is.
What happened?
We are speaking of just highlights that we noticed during the week. So this one would probably normally fall into the category of shout out beer. Askar Mozharov had his debut with the UFC this morning, Fight Night in Las Vegas, so probably shout out beer worthy.
What's the backstory?
Depending, but the backstory. So this is why he's the mop of the week. So there was alleged fraud with his fight record. So before the UFC signed with him, his fight record was 25-7. I'd probably say that's pretty impressive.
That's a solid record.
Yeah, a solid record.
25 more wins than we've ever had.
That's very true. Very true.
It depends. If we can probably put a fight card, like a fight record together like this guy.
If you just make it up.
I mean, and as the story goes, allegations of ton of fraud on his fight record. Sorry. After investigations, it turned out that it was padded out with a couple of 0-0 fighters, which I mean, all fighters are going to have a couple of debutants on their record card. He had also changed his name from Artur Shadakov. Tried to convince officials that he and Shadakov were two different people, so that he wouldn't take on that record.
The old alias, the old double passport.
That's it.
The old Tinder swimmer.
Yeah, maybe that's just a big catfish for the UFC.
Yeah, that's right.
There was even reports that his representatives and I guess his fight crew were falsifying records, putting up fake fight posters, trying to claim that he'd won more fights than he had. So after all the investigation, his fight record came down to a 19-12 fight record.
Still pretty handy.
Still pretty handy.
Solid.
Probably not good enough. I don't know if it'd be good enough to get you into the UFC. Anyway, he had his debut today against Alonzo Menifield. And Alonzo Menifield just destroyed him in the first round. With 20 seconds left, Herb Dean, I think, was calling the fight. Called
it early or?
No.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. Menifield had him in a real good, strong crucifix position and was just pounding him with elbows. There was no way he was getting out of that. So, probably not one of the resumes you'd want to fake.
Well, it's the old meme, when you lie on your resume and then you get found out. Problem is we'd lie on our resumes, it's an office job. Doesn't really matter that much. You can kind of, Google and try and work it out. When you lie on your resume and your life's on the line, maybe not the smartest idea. But either way, the bloke's a UFC fighter and maybe...
We'll see for how long.
Was a UFC fighter.
It was. Already put a line through poor Askar. Yeah, that's definite mock behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty funny.
Indeed.
Before we get into, do you want to switch that to the AFL, Max?
Yes, we do have AFL, Hawthorn taking on Collingwood. That would have just kicked off at the MCG. But let's talk some cricket.
Yeah, let's get stuck in.
So, the biggest tournament in T20 cricket has come to an end. It was over a week ago, but that's when our last show was.
Midweek,
the Gujarat Titans have defeated the Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets, 11 balls remaining to take out the 2022 Tata IPL. Their first season, they win the whole thing. 100,000 in there at Ahmedabad, which is the capital and biggest city of Gujarat. So fate sort of comes into the question / maybe rigging. I don't know. Like we spoke about last week.
I was going to say fairy tale story.
No,
They played well.
we spoke about it last week. Pretty hard to rig a cricket game. So Gujarat or Ahmedabad rather, is the biggest city in Gujarat. They've just built this brand new stadium over there. It was awesome to see it packed out. You know, obviously the COVID era, we've seen empty stadiums and 25% stadiums. Awesome to see packed out Narendra Modi Stadium there. And then the fate kind of stuff comes into question when the final's scheduled there. It's Gujarat's home ground. Hardik Pandya, he's from Gujarat. He was born and bred in Gujarat. He comes out, they get the win, and he played unreal.
Yeah, Hardik was excellent in this.
I love me some Hardik.
Oh yeah.
And Gujarat also they're neighbours. So borders Rajasthan, a little bit of Indian geography for you there in the northwest of the country, and then Rajasthan being the northern state on the border there with Gujarat. Now let's talk about the game. Rajasthan, they win the toss. They elect to bat, which has been a little unusual in this IPL. And they go out, and no one could really get going. The orange cap winner of the tournament, Joss Butler, who they so heavily rely on. He made like a runner ball 39.
But it was slow from his
lofty standards. Indeed.
And I think that pace kind of affected the rest of the order as well. They just seemed slow and really couldn't get it going. But then I would say Khan had actually been a bit of a bogey man for Butler throughout the series. Just missed him 3 times, and I think he only averaged like 20 against him. So
he's so good, man.
Yeah, and they brought him on right when Joss was kind of needed to find his feet and put the work in. And Butler got enough runs to take number 2 from Davey Warner on the all-time run scoring list, but
finishes behind Virat Kohli.
And didn't score the ton that we probably thought they'd want to get out of him, or get like a big score quickly that they could then put some runs on. But yeah, it was slow from them, slow from everyone else. But like you said, Hardik and Khan, they're very much bowled really well and kept it very tidy.
Pandya 3 for 17 off his 4, and Rashid, he had 1 for 18, but there was a misfield, so he should have really had 1 for 15. Like there was one that should have been a single, went through the legs, went for a boundary.
And Ferguson bowled well as well. Like that 157 on that,
157 k's per hour, 3.5 k's off the fastest ball ever. Lockie Ferguson, and that action that he has, it doesn't look like that it's going to come out that quick. And my goodness, he saved his best for last. 2 Kiwis in the Gujarat side, and Matthew Wade, the Aussie, didn't really contribute too much in this one, but comes away as an IPL champion. Let's get into the Gujarat Titans innings.
So they got 130 for the Royals.
So 130 to chase down, and look, after a pretty like a horrible start really for the Royals with Yuzi Chahal. Dropping, it wasn't quite a dolly. He had to sort of get forward on that bat pad and kind of dive forward, but probably should eat that up. That was Shubman Gill on 0. Shubman goes on to score 40 odd runs. This game after 5 overs was in the balance. So Saha goes, he gets clean bowled by Krishna. Wade goes for not much, 2 for 23 after 5 overs. You're thinking, oh geez, maybe they can defend 130. And Hetty, Shimron Hetmeyer, he dropped a hard chance as well off Chahal. And then Gill just sort of went about it to run a ball. Pandya come out about to run a ball. And a guy that had an unbelievable tournament in David Miller goes out and scores 32 off 19. Gujarat, they get the job done. They never, after that partnership between Pandya and Gill, never really looked like they'd miss out. And David Miller sealing the deal. Boys, what did we think about the final? What did we think about Gujarat winning it in their first year?
Well, it's great for the tournament. It's great to show that the expansion in this case worked. Maybe not for, say, the Mumbai Indians, but it worked for everyone else. It was great to see them there. Great to see crowds back, the atmosphere, and the celebrations after they won as well was great scenes to see. So from all that, I think it was an excellent tournament. Just to see. Potentially the best batsman also. Well, let's just say Butler was he got the cap, so he was the best batsman. To see him in the final as well, take his team there and kind of going up against the new guys. Like there's great storylines from all of it for an excellent finish to a great tournament this year. So I think it was definitely good viewing.
Definitely. Great for Gujarat to get the title in their first year. Would have liked to see a few more Aussies. I know we had a few international matches on at the start of the IPL, so we didn't
play a full series.
We didn't really get to see full IPL series out of a few Aussies. So it would have been nice to see what they could have done for all intents and purposes. And we'll probably talk about the team in a second.
Yeah, leading us into our On The Esky IPL 11.
Yeah, it would have been good to see Davey Warner get a few more games under his belt this series and see what he could have done. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that leads us into our 11 / a few honourable mentions. We've picked a team. We've tried to give it our own flavour. I was looking at a few teams here and there, and it's our podcast, so we can do whatever the fuck we want. We can throw a few Aussies in there that maybe questionably don't deserve to be in it. But anyway,
I was going to say some international bias.
Yeah.
Yes. So eligibility wise, I've gone just whoever. So rather than doing you've got to have the 4 internationals and 7 11. Indians. Yep. I've just sort of picked out an 11. So I think it's
11 worth talking about.
I think it's 5 Indians and 6 internationals. We're about to work it out. Josh Butler. First man picked in anyone's team. Arguably the best season or best tournament ever in the IPL. 863 runs at 57, striking at just under 150, 400s. We spoke about it last week. No one has ever gone close to doing that in one tournament. And probably the bulk of the Rajasthan Royals' success, obviously Yuzi Chahal pretty good with the ball, but we talk about sore shoulders on this podcast, sore backs carrying this team, and with him not really being able to get going in the final, probably the downfall of the Rajasthan Royals. But welcome to the On The Esky 11, probably the most prestigious team that Josh Butler's ever made, the On The Esky IPL 22-11.
Oh, very high standards here.
Indeed. So he picks himself. Now, a man that probably doesn't pick himself, but Australian bias, Delhi Caps bias here. And as aforementioned, it's our team, so you can go fuck yourself. Davey Warner. Now, missed the first 2 games, but arguably finishes top 10, top 5 even in the run scorers. Where did he finish? He finished 12th. And you look at everyone above him has played more games. So he only played the 12 games. 432 runs at 48, striking at 150. So his strike rate there, his strike rate is better than pretty much everyone above him. His average there is better than pretty much everyone above him that's not named just Butler. So it would have been interesting to see what he could have done had he had those 2 extra games, and the story around it. Last year, the axing by Sunrisers as captain, the redemption.
The benching as well.
Yeah, the benching, the axing. It wasn't a good year last year for Dave Warner. Yeah. And for him to come out and, have a statement tournament going back to where it all started, as a daily daredevil all those years ago. It was really nice to see him stamp his authority and become a staple of that top order for the Delhi Caps. On your David Warner. Again, probably the most prestigious team you've ever made. The On The Esky 11. So that's our openers there. Josh Butler, Dave Warner. Batting 3, a man that opened all tournament, but we're going to bat him 3 in this team, is KL Rahul. Him and Quinton de Kock, very big in Lucknow's, opening their account in the IPL. A lot of success from the Super Giants. He was a distant second in the orange cap behind Josh Butler, came in with 616 runs, an average of 51, striking at 135, had 2 tons, couple of quackers, but he was rocks or diamonds, and the diamonds were really good innings, and captained Lucknow to a pretty good start in the IPL. 4 here is a little bit of controversy around this one. We were talking about in the group chat this morning.
Yeah, there's a bit of back and forth.
Yeah, that man that I just mentioned, Quinton de Kock, maybe a little bit stiff to miss out, but I've gone Sanju Samson here from the Rajasthan Royals as our wicket keeper. Now, here's the justification. We've already picked openers, batting 1, 2, 3. Can you go opener 1, 2, 3, 4? No. Well, look, you probably can, but a man that actually bats
T20 maybe.
A man that bats 3 and 4, Sanju Samson, had 458 runs at 29, striking at 147, and the big thing from him was consistency. He never, busted out a massive ton. Never scored bulk runs, but he'd just go out there and give you your 30 or your 40 that you need out of your 3. We're batting him at 4 here. Only dismissed for single digits twice out of what was it? 16 knocks.
17.
17 knocks.
Yep.
So only failed really twice. So Sanju Samson gets the wicket keeping gig.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a stretch because Ricken's thrown his 11 in there as well in the chat, and they're very similar, and he had Samson in there too. So I think I've gone through our list and compared his, and there's only 1 or 2 differences. So I think we've done all right considering we've gone maybe a little bit international heavy.
A little bit Aussie heavy, perhaps. Anyways, we'll continue. I think that the next 2 players, they pick themselves in anyone's 11. Hardik Pandya, we've got him here in the middle order. 4th most runs in the tournament for a bloke that doesn't bat top 3 is absolutely mental. 487 runs at 44, striking at 130. 450s. He can also be an option with the ball. Yep. We spoke about him earlier, in the segment about captaining, Gujarat in their opening year from Gujarat and getting the win. He picks himself, and I've given him the skipper in this team. Breakout tournament for maybe not break. Like everyone knew that David Miller was talented. I don't think we knew he was this talented. Punishing in the middle order. Had his best IPL by far to date. 481 runs at nearly 69. Nice. Not out 9 times. So very hard to dismiss. Strikes at 143. Yeah. He gets our number 6 here in the IPL 11. Now, this one was contentious. Very, very difficult to leave Rashid Khan out of our 11. We have given him the 12th man. We'll speak about it in a second. I think possibly the best true all-rounder in the tournament, and our 7 in the IPL 11 is Dre Russ. Andre Russell, Calcutta Knight Riders, 335 runs at 37, strike rate 174, one of the best strikers of the ball in the whole tournament. And then a cheeky 17 wickets at 16, possibly a touch expensive, nearly pushing 10 runs and over. He did have that game where he had 5 for 4, schoolyard kind of figures. He's a character. I also think every team needs a big West Indian character. Whether it's a Dre Russ, whether it's a Heady, whether it's any of the big men with the colour in the hair and a bit of fire. So I've chucked Dre Russ in there to be 7. Let's get into the bowlers. Wanindu Hasaranga, breakout tournament for the Sri Lankan leggy. He had 26 wickets at 16 and a half. Pretty economical. Second in the purple cap. I think him and this man, Yuzi Chahal, they probably picked themselves. Both leg spinners. Yuzvendra Chahal was the purple cap winner with 27 wickets at 19 and a half. Not as economical as Rashid Khan or as Hasaranga, but you can't leave the purple cap winner out of your team, can you? No. Yuzi Chahal comes into the Esky 11. And then 2 quicks. Kasigo Rabada, first season for Rabada as a Punjab King after, I think, 4 or 5 years it was, at Delhi. Most wickets for a quick in the IPL, 23 at 17.6, reasonably economical. And then possibly a little bit more biased, but it's the same.
This one's probably a bit more biased, but yeah.
No, it's the same argument.
Yeah, from
Josh Hazlewood we're talking about.
Yeah, he was the best Australian bowler by far.
Not... what do you have? 20 wickets, at 18.8. gone about 8 runs and over. Again, the same argument that could be made for Warner. Had Hazelwood played a couple of extra games, maybe his name would have been higher on that list. 7th total in wickets. Yep. Everyone above him played a lot more games.
That's it. I mean, 7th is better than Warner's 12th. So, not that far of a stretch, I'd say.
Indeed. 12th man, we've already mentioned him, Rashid Khan. Pretty stiff to miss out here. I suppose the logic being we've already got 2 leggies. Rashid would be the 3rd. We've seen him, years and years in the Big Bash. We know what he can do for the Adelaide Strikers. We know how economical he can be. He can literally turn a game on its head. He was the most economical bowler in the IPL with 15 or more wickets at 6.59 and over. Very stiff to miss out on this team. And then our honourable mentions, 3 guys that can be in the squad. They can ride the pine and jump in as necessary. We mentioned Quinton de Kock earlier. Very unlucky to miss out. 3rd in the orange cap with 508 runs at 36. Had that massive 140, the 3rd highest score in an individual innings in the IPL history. And then honourable mentions, Rajat Patidee. Had he played more games, would have really gone up high in that orange cap race. He averaged 55 from just 8 games, had a ton. I think he'll get paid handsomely in the next IPL auction. Mm-hmm. And then Umran Malik, we've pipped him by, with Josh Hazelwood, but he did have 22 wickets. Maybe the average and economy rate we could argue for Hazelwood getting into the side, but Umran Malik probably the best of the Indian quicks. That rounds out our 15-man squad and our IPL 11. So just recapping, the 11 that have made the OTE team: Butler, Warner, Rahul, Sampson wicketkeeper, Hardik Pandya captain, David Miller, Dre Russ, Hasaranga, Yuzi Chahal, Rabada, Hazelwood.
Question here for you, Pepe. What has been your assessment of Hardik's captaincy? Considering we picked him as a captain for our 11 and his team won the tournament, what do you think?
I think Hardik had a lot of pressure, coming into captaining a new franchise, being a middle order player. So you've got so many things to think about. It's not like you can just go out there and be an opening bat, and all I've got to think about is making runs as per. It wasn't a captain, but a Josh Butler.
Yeah.
KL Rahul captain his side. All he's got to really do is think about is going out there and making runs and setting the field. Whereas a guy that's got to bat middle order when the game's on the line, when a guy's got to go out there and set the field and think about bowling a few himself, when a guy's going out there and he's representing a franchise which is new in the IPL and it's his home state, that's why I've gone Hardik as captain. Again, now we could have given the skipper to KL Rahul. We could have given, there's a few blokes in there that could have probably got this skipper. Mm-hmm. I think Hardik, with the pressure, with the state of Gujarat, behind him in his opening season as a skipper in the IPL, I think he's nailed it, and that's why I've given him the captaincy of this illustrious team.
Mm-hmm. What do you think long term for Hardik outside of the IPL? Has he shown some ability there for potential international duties at different levels? Well,
the test question remains around Hardik. Can he ever break into this Indian Test side? White ball, he'll be a staple. He'll be a staple, and has already shown so much ability as a white ball player when he gets the gig for India. Does he get that? Has he played Test cricket? Can you see? Has he played Test cricket for India? He's played about 10, I think, off the top of my head. Does he break into that side and be a staple in the Test side? That's probably the only thing for his career moving forward. That's questionable. I think white ball, he'll just play until he's ready to retire.
Yeah, I only bring it up because they've gone with say the older, safer option as captains at the moment for the Indian team. So that's not a long-term thing. That's just to cover off the post-Kohli era. It's just, where do they go through from there? And then whether, just Hardik put his name in or his hat in that ring.
What do you got there, mate?
Name,
hat, ring, whatever.
All three together. Mix it up and then pick one.
Does he put his hard dick in the hat? Who knows? It's too easy. Too easy, that name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great. He's a great cricketer.
Definitely.
Max, what do you got?
Yeah, he's played 11 matches for India, Test cricket, between 2017-18. Scored 532 runs. High score 108, averages 31.3.
So not bad numbers, but 4 years since his last test.
Yeah.
And a pretty difficult team to bust into as it is.
Yeah.
There's plenty of young fellas getting that team, but that, you know, the extra cap of leadership could potentially be a reason why. And if he gets that, say, captainship of the white ball teams, and then, you know, does well, pushes his form.
How old is Hardik? Because Sharma is obviously going to have to pass on the white ball.
I give him 2 to 3
captaincy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At some stage, is Hardik much younger than Sharma? He'd be 3 or 4 years younger, wouldn't he?
28, turning 29.
I think that's more than 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
28 and Robot Sharma, as my internet likes to. Did you mean Rohit Sharma? Yes, I meant Rohit. You know, the old Ajbak.
87,
Ajbak a bit.
35.
35. 7 years.
Just had his
37 years.
Yeah. So Sharma's definitely up there, and he's well, even if he plays for another 2 years, that's 37. That's definitely up there in cricket years.
Indeed. Well, what we've seen out of him this tournament, who could argue with him being thrown the white ball captaincy for India moving forward?
Yeah.
International cricket?
International cricket.
Test
yeah. Well, essentially, we've got international cricket now for
all through the
months
summer.
and months and months and months. We are in the chilly winter here in Canberra. It's freezing down here.
I was going to say the summer of cricket starts early.
Yeah. And of course, we'll get to it in a second. Australia is going to play Sri Lanka starting next week.
Is that here or is that?
That's in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, I was just making sure because it was like, that doesn't make any sense why they'd be playing here. It's too fucking cold for that. Go to Sri Lanka. It'll be warm at least.
England, New Zealand. First test is underway at Lords. And as Afa mentioned, it's fittingly, that the Poms would go up against the Black Caps in Brendan McCullum's first gig as skipper, coach even, and Ben Stokes' first gig as skipper. New Zealand, horrible start. Absolutely horrendous start. They were 7 for 45 out there on a green top at Lords. Shout out Matthew Potts on debut. I was having a look at some of his highlights from his county season. Been absolutely bowling the house down and pretty hard to get into that England bowling crew. Anderson and Broad, essentially at this stage of their career, I think
there until they retire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They've got the resting policies and what have you. I think they were always going to get the new ball in this one. So then that third bowling option, do you go with Ollie Robinson, who's been pretty good? Do you go with the likes of Chris Wokes, who can give you a little bit with the bat? And then Matthew Potts just bashes the door down. Jofra Archer's still unavailable, mind you.
Did he get hurt again?
Yeah.
Can you chase that up? I don't know what's going on with Jofra.
I thought he might have been playing some Kenny cricket and got hurt, but yeah.
Chase that one up. Matthew Potts, anyways, he's for Durham in county cricket, 3 6-fers and a 7-fer so far in about 6 games. So he literally banged the door down. And he had 4 for 13 in this one. Jimmy Anderson, 4 for 66. The bloke turns 40, I believe, next month or the month after. Unbelievable. They were showing Broad and Anderson sitting up there, in one of the fancy posh rooms at Lords, and it was something like 1,300 or 1,200 test wickets between the two.
A lot.
Yeah, a fucking lot. Colin de Granholm, 42 not. He sort of got the Black Caps back on track for them to sort of limp to 132. But then England went out and they did the reverse of the New Zealand innings in that they started off well. Zach Crawley had 43, Alex Lees 20-odd, and then an ultimate collapse from the Poms with Tim Southey and Trent Bolt doing the damage, and they also lost 7 for 40-odd. To turn the game on its head.
Yeah, some quick notes chat here is battle of which team could choke the hardest. There was 17 wickets on day one, and it looks like England have about 8 bowlers on their injury list is why Potts got a run.
Did you find anything there with Jofra?
No.
Stress fracture, lower back, mid-May.
In mid-May?
In mid-May.
So that would be his recent
that was when he was
injury.
ruled out. Yeah,
because it was an elbow that he was missing earlier games on. So that is
stretching back is not great for a fast bowler.
No, and you think about Pat Cummins making his debut at 18 and missing 4 years of cricket. You think about Canberra's own Jason Behrendorff has gone through the ringer with stress fractures.
Yep.
It's not what you like to see out of a quick, let's hope, Chofra, for English purposes, makes a recovery and gets back to that scintillating form that we saw out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got some depth, don't they, in the fast bowling department? Another name thrown into the hat here.
Well, is it quality depth, or is it just they've got a lot of good young guys coming through that are just getting opportunities?
Nah, I think it's quality, especially in England. It's
caveat England,
of course, and that's the caveat in cricket.
Yeah.
Can we
home field advantage? Yes,
exactly. Can Aussies go over and you can play spin in Australia? Can you? Can you play spin in India? You can take wickets here on a green deck and it's fucking 14 degrees and it's just about raining outside and the ball's hooping 2 feet. Can you go do that on a hard deck in an Australian summer and it's 38 degrees?
It just bounces.
Of course, there's a caveat always in cricket. But yeah, on an English deck, I think that the English bowling stocks, the fast bowling stocks at least, are up there with the best in the world.
Yep. How'd this test finish up?
Well, it's still going. So going. It's going to be another quick, maybe a 3.5 day test going into it. So New Zealand go out and finally make a few runs, although everyone outside of Daryl Mitchell and Tom Blundell had a bit of an issue trying to score on this deck. But Daryl Mitchell goes out, gets the first ton of this series, 108 for him, 96 for the keeper, Tom Blundell. Potsy there in the wickets. There you go. You've got a nickname already. It's probably one that you already get. He had 3 for 55 for old Potsy, Matthew Potts, and Stuart Broad, Australia's favourite English son, 3 for 76 for him. So England go out, they need 277, and they're in a really good spot with Joe Root at the crease. He is 77 not going into day 4.
Joe Root scores well. Shock me.
Yeah, after failing a little bit in the first, I think he had 11 in the first innings, but he's out there. But can the bowlers stick with him? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, this is their first official test match as well since the change of captains.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So a lot of scrutiny, I suppose, under Ben Stokes' captaincy. A lot of scrutiny around Brendan McCullum's coaching. But surely they know all the inside goss.
Yeah. Give me a hot take. I was just thinking about this. You think in the last 18 to 24 months, there's been a fair rise of 3 or 3.5, under 4 day tests. And do you think maybe that there's, the impact of the T20 sort of game, the shorter formats kind of, people throwing away their wickets and not being able to get into the grind is what I'm getting at, to play the long test match and to
that's the age-old question. And a lot of the old, the test match, purists, the tragics, the old, 60, 70, 80-year-old cobbers would like to say, this white ball cricket, it's ruining the game, it's hit and giggle, yada, yada, yada. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think some of these decks that are getting dished up in India,
very true.
For example, some of these green decks in England, good luck.
Yeah, well, I guess if we played all test cricket in Pakistan, then there'd all be 5 day
roads,
matches.
Yeah, we saw a few roads there in the Pakistan hosting Australia series, but we've seen it down under as well, which is quite unusual. A few quick tests down here. Maybe there's a push as well from the international cricket community to put
a bid in the decks to
give something back to the bowlers. With as Australian fans, we're used to turning on the telly and whichever team wins the toss and elects to bat, going out there and making 5 for 500 and it being an absolute road. Maybe there's been a little bit of a push to have a little bit in there for the bowlers. Has it swung back the other way?
Yeah, well, we always talk. Well, to use an NFL analogy, offense defense. We're talking batting versus bowling here. The different eras, how it swings back and forth from what they want to highlight and show, and I guess the slow, methodical games, high scores, maybe not as impressive as the shorter games, lots of wickets, and then maybe that's the preference, get more viewership, whatever it is.
Yeah, but do you like watching a test that's over in 2.5 days? I just feel like you miss out on half a test match.
Exactly. I think if you're tuning in to watch a test match, you're expecting to tune in for 5 days, not 3.5. So, but we're hardcores. The casuals, on the other hand, maybe want to see, when they do tune in to watch a couple hours in a day, want to see something happen versus, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like the casuals do watch, your Big Bash fans. That's how you get kids. That's how you get sort of, ladies or people that are casual fans that they might want to watch Big Bash cricket. I don't think there's too many test match purists which want a test to be over in 2.5 days.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like James. You're not going to be able to do it. I'd be interested to see if someone could map that. Just go through the last couple of years and go
homework, maybe some Esky homework
under 4-day tests and percentages, and see if there's been a rise of it in recent years.
Well, down here, there's a pretty good rate. Like La Nina, hello. Yep. It's been raining. Pretty much non-stop for the last sort of 12 months, flooding events everywhere. Surely that impacts your ability to produce a deck that is conducive to making runs on it.
True.
Maybe there's an argument, at least in Australia, for the quicker test matches that we saw. That Hobart deck. In the Ash, like good luck to anyone.
What deck? It was
good luck.
Great.
Good luck to anyone trying to go out there and make a good go of it. I don't know. Again, we're going back to conspiracies and narratives and rigging and the rest of it. I don't think there's any kind of particular interest in having.
Money.
But don't you make more money? Don't you make more money if the test goes for 5 days?
Well, you could do the math and say with 100K people are watching for 5 days versus the 500K over 3 days.
Well, it's all TV money, anyways.
Exactly, it's all
days,
relevant.
Isn't it?
So.
But yeah, again.
Relative, not relevant.
Maybe the optimist in me tends to think no.
People aren't shit and they don't take money when they can.
That's right. No one has ever fixed a game of cricket in their life. Ever.
What's happening for the Australian summer?
Yeah, so like I said, we've pretty much got international cricket now. As Australian cricket fans, mate, the plate is full. The plate is overflowing. We've been to the buffet. We've absolutely overstacked the buffet plate. We have international cricket now with this series coming up against Sri Lanka essentially till February for the Aussie cricket team. So the summer of cricket, the fixtures got announced this week. They're going to start in North Queensland with 3 ODIs against Zimbabwe. That will happen late August in Townsville. Into a really interesting series. Look, not that Zimbabwe is not interesting, but possibly a closer series. There'll be 3 ODIs against the Black Caps in Cairns in September. And then the T20 World Cup rolls around. The exact fixtures aren't confirmed just yet. So there's the 2 groups have been confirmed for the Super 12s, but there's only 4 teams in each of those, and then the other teams have to go through qualification. Interesting, Afghanistan's already in the Super 12s, but the West Indies and Sri Lanka have to go through qualification. The West Indies are currently in the Netherlands for a barnstorming three-game ODI series over there. And mind you, Netherlands, despite losing all 3 of those, have held their own. And then, so the T20 World Cup happens. That will be September, October. England hang around for 3 ODIs. Then we get into the test matches. We have 2 against the West Indies. That'll be Perth and Adelaide. Adelaide will be a day and night as per the last few years. And then 3 really interesting tests against South Africa. That will be, in the summer holidays. That will be Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney. And obviously South Africa coming off 2 wins. The last test series that they've played in Australia, they've got the Mickey over us. And that test side's going to be interesting to see who actually lines up for South Africa. We spoke last episode about Faf du Plessis and Quinton de Kock. They won't be in that test side. And last time they played India, they were able to beat them at home in South Africa. Everyone had the South Africans being the underdogs in that series, and they were able to get the win. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do over here come our summertime.
Can you check that India-England test? I think it's a couple of weeks away. which will finish off that series, considering both teams will have new captains and new teams effectively.
True.
From that series that got...
Yeah, is it...
Why did they get cancelled? Was it COVID? It must have been.
No, yeah, it was. It was.
The last game
they cancelled it 4 hours before it was meant to start, which is wild.
Yeah, so that was
considering how different
November last year.
Yeah, considering how different the world that we live in, you know, not 6 months after is. I suppose, you know, so the disease has changed a little bit.
Yeah, what were they at? They're 2-1 going into this would be the last, so England can draw the series.
Is that how? Isn't it a new series or is it?
It's the final game. It's the fifth game of that test.
Are you sure?
Yes, that's why I was looking at this the other day and I was like, this is weird.
Fifth test.
It is, yeah, it is the fifth test. There you go.
Yeah, they're running it back. It's a bit late. New captains, etc.
5 July, England and India.
A month off, exactly.
Yeah, a month off, and that will be the decider of that series. Yeah. Craziness, sort of 6 months in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, be interesting to see
about a month away.
Who's in the Indian team and what that looks like. Considering they were doing well, they were winning that series kind of handedly. Wonder if Javo makes a return. Anyway,
hopefully not. Hopefully Javo gets a bit of New Zealand security treatment. A bit over old Javo these days, I must admit.
See some of the security around the world, he might be like, oh.
He'll keep streaking in England and running rings around their security. Come doing it at Eden Park, bro, when there's rugby on.
Very good, very good. Enough cricket is round ball.
Yes, well, early for us to be talking about NBA, but it is the NBA Finals, so let's start it. Mm-hmm. Last time we were on the Esky, it was Game 7.
Yep.
Game 7, leading into the Heat and the Celtics. The Celtics getting the job done. Jimmy Buckets, he just couldn't put that team on his shoulders and carry him. He went so close. Had that fast break. He pulled up for the three.
Open look. He
had the shot over Al Horford. I think he has to take that shot. A lot of people were critical of Butler. I don't know how you can be. He's their best player.
True.
He has to take that shot.
He has to take that shot. Potentially, maybe he can come forward a few meters because he had room.
Drive.
Make it a 2 point jumper, which ties the game.
Yeah.
So you play for the top. But Jimmy saw he had the opportunity. He was open.
Went for the kill. Shoot, man. He's got to take that. He's got to take that.
That's basketball these days.
That's 6 inch. If that shot is 6 inches to the right, he's a hero. The home crowd goes absolutely mental.
They drain it and away they go.
He's put that team on his shoulders the whole season. I think he has to take that shot, and unfortunately, it hits that left rim and bounces out, and the Celtics go through. But that's led to possibly a more interesting final series now with the Celtics being so good across the board. They play good defensive basketball. They're obviously the best defensive team in the NBA, and they go out in Game 1 and stun the Warriors at the Chase Center. The first finals game in San Francisco, they used to play across the bridge over there in Oakland, east of San Fran. And all the rhetoric around Klay Thompson, he's been out for 2 years. He comes back. The Warriors go back to the finals. Steve Kerr has never lost and still has never lost a knockout series until the finals. So playoff games, conference championships, conference semifinals. His record stays intact, and the Celtics go out and they go and they have a bit of a quiet-ish first half.
Definitely a cold second half.
And go out and get this win. It's great for the series. I think it's great for the neutral viewer. What are our thoughts, boys?
Definitely, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely interesting going into that, and reckon put this in here. Do you think the Celtics may be more battle hardened, considering they had to go through Nets, Bucks, and Heat to get here, compared to the run that maybe the Golden State had to get into the finals?
Interesting, yeah. In this series, sure, they've had longer series. They've had a few Game 7s.
You'd think that would almost work against him, though.
the fatigue factor.
But they've started hot early, so the question is, come game 6 and 7, if they get that deep, is that where the easier run and the tired legs in Boston will make it easier for Golden State to win those games?
The other massive thing as well is there's no Celtics players that have finals experience. Going up up against a dynasty team where just about everyone has finals experience,
if not one.
Well, yeah. bring up the Warriors roster for.
Oh, I know at least 3 of them are definitely one.
well, Clay, Steph, Draymond have all won it.
Poole, I don't think so.
Was Wiggins in that team a few years ago?
Not sure.
Iguodala, he's a Finals MVP.
Yep.
He's definitely won it before. Yeah, Wiggins would have been in that team.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of experience that also has turned into rings, into victories. So.
What about Al Horford? After I think in that game 7 being very quiet and the rest of the team being able to get the job done, he had 26 points, 6 boards, 3 assists. Tatum quiet shooting the ball, but 13 dimes. Derek White, he's been a really good bench player with 21 points. Steph, he tied a record for the most 3-pointers in a quarter with six in the first quarter, but then went a bit missing after that.
Yeah, it was quiet after that.
Yeah. Just back on the Celtics, like you said, like just the fact that everyone can back each other up, like no one really stands out on the stats. It's just everyone's doing their part. Like sure, Tatum didn't score too many, but like his assists obviously helped the rest of the team score. Whereas if you look at the stats for the Warriors, like it was sort of the proverbial Steph was sort of carrying the team on his back, and no one else really did.
Well, I wonder if that was the kind of the point where we're talking about this, the shock of the Celtics stealing this game. Was did they just game plan in a way that took Curry out of it in the second half, and they kind of got the Golden State off their rhythm to the point where they get through and get this win. So whether they come back game 2, they know that expectation, and maybe Steph ends up playing a secondary role and feeds Clay to absorb that. Expecting that heat, that extra defensive pressure to come his way, and then dishing it off a bit. Be interested to see how they go back and forth throughout the series to the different strategies that they come up with.
Free Jordan Poole, dude. Free Jordan Poole.
Yeah. Also,
the third splash brother. We gave him unofficial status as third splash brother. They got to free him up. Interesting question there.
From the chat, I wanted to
from Ricken. Draymond Green talking smack on his podcast.
Yeah, talking smack on a podcast? Who would do that?
Well, that is kind of the idea of podcasting. However, I suppose it is different if you've got a active role in an NBA
if you're a professional athlete, playing a final series.
It's interesting. I don't think it bodes these players that well. Talking like, look. Go back a week and Danny Green and the Pat Beverly back and forth and traffic cones and the rest of it. Look, it does add to the theatre of it all, doesn't it? You can hear this guy's actual thought, his actual opinion. It's not like he's getting interviewed by mainstream media and the boys did well and full credit, etc.
Coaching was good.
That's right. We had a game plan and we executed.
We lifted when we needed to.
Exactly. He's actually out there speaking his mind. I don't know.
I think smack. There's no issue with smack as long as you back it up. So that's the point. If you don't back that up and you guys end up losing, like if they fold and get swept 4-0, everyone's going to point to this moment where they talk smack on the podcast. It's like, you did it. You put
gone down in his history.
You put the bullets in their chambers for them, and they've just come out and blown you away. So you got to back it up. You're going to talk smack. You've putting more pressure on yourself, and these guys are professional athletes. They need to do that. But yes, it is unnecessary pressure, but you got to back it up. And if he backs it up, then it won't be smack talk; it'll be confidence. Where everyone will be like, "Yeah, you'd see how confident he was coming into it." So, too early to judge. Probably not a huge fan of it, considering you put the pressure on. Plus, you're green. You're the defensive dude in aspect on this team. You're not the guy that needs to put on massive amounts of points of buckets. You've got 3 others kind of got to carry that load for you. So you need to kind of put more pressure on them.
Maybe let's see how it ages.
Yeah, that's the point. Let's see
Are
how
India afraid of the Gabba?
Who would say something like that?
That's it. We've just won the series for the Golden State Warriors now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And a lot of rhetoric as well around Steph Curry has never been an NBA Finals MVP. Yeah, that one where Iggy got it. There was a little bit of conjecture, I suppose, around that. We saw what he can do in the first quarter of this game 1. Does Steph go out there and fulfill his dynasty? His
destiny.
His destiny. Thank you.
I knew what you got for.
Yeah. Here we go. We're only an hour in, and I've fucked up
the English major on the end of the table.
Wait, what?
Does Steph go out there and just go mental and
I think
etch his name into history being a Finals MVP, which he hasn't been able to do just yet.
I think that with what the Celtics want to do, that's what Golden State don't want to rely on.
They want the team game. They want to have 3 guys scoring 20.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't. If they have to rely on Curry to score 30 plus 40 points exactly to keep them in a game, then that plays, I think, well to what the Celtics are going to want to do. Yep. So because they know that's a lot easier for us to defend because we know exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be feeding him.
How to give Curry 30 odd points if it means that we're shutting down.
And especially this.
Thompson, yeah.
Especially this playoff series where I hate to say it, but the one-man teams in the Giannis's and the Jars, and the Jimmy Butlers, they haven't been able to get there because there's these teams that have weapons on both sides of the ball and are able to have 3 or 4 guys go out there and really contribute rather than being so dependent on one guy. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what unfolds. I like this as a finals matchup.
I agree because I was going to say Golden State, though, as a comparison, aren't just the one man. They've got a one man awesome dude, but they've got others there.
The supporting cast
is
better than a Memphis Grizzlies.
Correct.
Yeah.
When's game 2? When's game 2? It should be
tomorrow morning our time, Sunday night their time. It will be 10, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern.
Back in Boston? They go back or they go 2?
So they go two in San Francisco, 2 in Boston, and then it'll be 1-1-1.
Yep.
So obviously the Celtics have given themselves a massive advantage by winning that away fixture.
Yeah.
Mate, if they get
all the momentum.
Well, if they go out and win tomorrow and it's 2-0 and then they get to go back to Boston.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it? Celtics sweep is on the table. Like everyone looking at this series was kind of like, well, Celtics going to be underdogs. Warriors hit those first 2 games at home. Well, it's going to be hard for Boston. Mate, the pressure is fucking on. My personal opinion, I think the Warriors make amends, and I think we see a Warriors win tomorrow, and I think we'll be talking about this series being tied up at 1 apiece.
Yeah, let's hope it goes deep. I think it's going to go deep.
Do you reckon it will go 7?
Ooh,
I think it could. Like you go back and forth on the defensive versus offensive battles is what we're talking about here, and the back and forth on the strategies. I think you can steal games going back and forth, and it wouldn't surprise me if it tied up.
And especially thinking of that Celtics Heat series where the home court advantage wasn't the be all end all. There was a lot of wins for the visiting side. So be interested to see how it unfolds. It's a good finals series. Obviously, 2 storied franchises. The Celtics, the most successful side in the Eastern Conference ever, and the more recent dynasty in the Warriors. So I suppose in terms of getting new blood out there, you've kind of got these 2 successful franchises going at it, but I kind of like the juxtaposition as well of an old franchise in the Celtics, going against this 10 years ago, you said, the Golden State Warriors. Who the fuck are the Golden State Warriors 10 years ago? Yeah. And now you think, the Golden State Warriors.
Who's the Celtics?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's cool. I just hope for a long series and some close games.
Definitely.
Yeah. Did you see, to speak about how fucked the internet is, did you see
that 99% of it is pornography and people getting their heads chopped off?
Yeah, true.
Sometimes in the same video.
Yeah, the internet was created for pornography. Yes. No, but did you see that Tatum had he texted Kobe before Game 7 to say, "I got you today," and then because of course he's not going to get a response, but the internet, of course, has photoshopped it to say he got a response saying Golden State 4-1. And I was like, "Oh, that's fucked."
Yeah. I suppose with Photoshop you can do whatever. It's interesting. Yeah, Tatum was wearing the Kobe
23.
The Kobe wristband. can't say my R's anymore.
I was going to comment you on your use of juxtaposition before, but
thank you. Yeah, thank you. All I've got to do
with the wristband, I don't think I can
the
do that
wristband.
anymore.
All I got to do is be able to talk English for 3 hours, and without saying whist. And
it is your dynasty, all right?
Yeah, it is my dynasty, Destiny. Luke. All right, that's fucking. That's
2 weeks in a row with a Star Wars reference.
Survival of the Dog a few weeks. Was it last week or a few weeks?
It was last week.
That's a bit of chat. All right,
Too funny,
boys. Back from nerdy Star Wars references and unable to say R. What do we think? Do we see the Warriors coming back from this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
should.
Yes, but who wins? Not sure.
Ooh.
So, yeah, like I was saying, I think we could get to 3-3 and then see what Game 7 turns up.
Monks?
Yeah. I still like the Celtics, but I mean, the pressure is all on the Warriors to win this next game.
I think Bookie's probably got Warriors there.
Can you chase that up with a 1-0 advantage, and then with the next, Game 3 and Game 4
probably
being in Massachusetts? I think the Celtics have to be favourites, and I think
you'd think that, but I think that's the prevalence of the names in the other squad is potentially why they still have good value.
I'm going to side with Monks, and we don't have a Desmond here with no Steam or Macca. We've got 3 on the panel, so that means
so I have to be the evil one and pick Golden State, do I?
You can be Dr. Evil. $1 million, and I'm going to go Celtics. Break the dynasty. Obviously, 2 years off, but I think the Celtics.
So I'm assuming that's probably going to say Boston's favourite tomorrow, being in Boston.
No, tomorrow's in Golden.
I was going to say sorry.
San Fran.
So
Game 3, game
2.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Should listen to you when you tell me things.
Desmond 2-2, 2-2, 1-1-1.
Yep. I'm just trying to make
sure.
So
outright betting, sports bet down under here have the Boston Celtics at $1.58 with Golden State Warriors at $2.40. So you can jump on that if you like. Steph and Co to go out and do what they do and win rings. I think it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard for them.
Yep.
But if any team can do it, talented. If anyone's been there, yes, it's definitely the Golden State Warriors. Can't wait for Game 2 tomorrow.
Wait, you said Boston or?
I said Boston. Two Bostons here.
Yep.
No, I mean, is in the betting.
Yeah, Boston $1.58.
Yep.
Outright.
All right. Yes.
Which to our American viewers probably means sweet fuck all.
Just laughing. It's all good.
And speaking of meaning sweet fuck all to any American listeners, let's talk about some Australian rules football.
Yep.
Round 12, the first of the bye round. So now we've got 3 rounds where there's only 6 games of footy. It is better than the State of Origin affected rugby league games where you only get 4 games. I was looking at the fixtures for this weekend, and I thought, oh geez, no St George Dragons, no Carlton Blues. What am I going to do with myself? Turns out a little bit of interest around, the wide world of sports. There's always something to do.
There's always something.
Something happened.
Friday night, Geelong get the victory against the Western Bulldogs by 13 points there at Marvel. The big story, I suppose, Bailey Smith, hot boy Bailey Smith, the sickest mullet in the AFL, headbutts Zach Tui, gets 2 weeks. There was definitely intent. It wasn't accidental.
How about, was this like a Zidane or is this like a... No. Okay.
No, not quite Zidane, who was channeling his inner Jurassic Park, those dinosaurs that just butt heads, or his inner Homer Simpson when he starts, headbutting the dude, the safari dude. No, this was an old Liverpool kiss kind of, you getting in each other's grill and it's just a little, just a little follow through. Right.
I did see promos for the Cambozi fight that he was that there was an interview between Cambozi and Bailey Smith, so maybe Cambozi gave him a few tips.
Maybe I don't know if headbutting is allowed in the
it's
WCF.
Not accidental head
It's
clashes.
not, but accidental.
I think our friends at Sportsbet as well were saying the undercard was going to be Bailey Smith and Zach Tui going at each other. They did. They embraced after the game, shook hands, got on with it like men.
Just a bit of fire that
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. But it's definitely tempting, bro. If someone's yelling in your face with that fucking Irish accent, his breath probably stinks of whiskey. To give him a little.
Was it a head massage? Like he just come forward and they kept his heads together?
No, it was a headbutt. I think it was a genuine headbutt. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 2 weeks is fair. That's
2 weeks. Tui just gets a fine. But the real winners on the night were the Geelong Cats. Jeremy Cameron booted 6. I think he had 4 in the first quarter. These two teams, I think Geelong will play finals footy. We've got that big question mark around the Bulldogs this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, an obvious drop off since last year. But look, we're halfway through this. We're only halfway through the season. There's plenty of time to turn it around. We'll talk about that battle for that 8th spot later in the pod.
I was going to say they'll probably sneak their way into the back end of the top 8 and may shock some teams in the finals because they've got a great list. It's just for whatever reason, the chemistry's just not putting it together.
Nothing better than sneaking your way into the back end. Adelaide took on the West Coast Eagles yesterday.
Nothing in that. Oh, no,
the second one.
The second one. Yeah.
We've got
hams it up a little bit.
Didn't cut him or anything. A little bit of madness ensued.
It looks worse with the mullet.
The flick back. It is a fucking good mullet. He's a hot boy.
Yeah.
Adelaide beat West Coast yesterday. Sean's, your notes on this one was West Coast suck.
Well, I think I turned it on and see what the score was, and Adelaide were up 30 to nothing, and I was like, yeah, West Coast suck.
Yeah, and then after that, West Coast, it was really just that first quarter.
They tightened it up, yes.
Indeed,
yeah. They're really struggling now down there at the bottom of the ladder, so yeah, it'd be tough for them to get out. Adelaide looked good. Tex looked like he played well.
Yeah, he kicked 3. Shane McAdam, Darcy Fogarty also
his contract
3.
as well coming up. So
I think Suns are interested.
Yes,
by all accounts. I think he may have said something along the lines of, "I want to stay in Adelaide."
Long term there.
Yeah, we'll see what gets thrown at him. Rory Laird, very good for the Crom there with 33 disposals and
but the fact
sausage roll.
So go back to West Coast sucking. The fact that Crom are $1.11,
which is too short. It's too short.
Yeah.
So West Coast covered the line in this one. Adelaide probably don't play finals footy this year. You wouldn't think.
Not a top 8 side.
West Coast held the line, which is the first time they've been able to keep the margin under 50 in the last 8 games. So again, back to the note of West Coast suck. Fair enough.
Then Dire Straits, they're very injured, a bit old, don't have quality young guys coming through yet, and so, they're going to have to rebuild and retool for the first time in a long time for West Coast fans. So
can never remember them being bad ever.
No.
Any news on Taylor Walker?
Not just yet.
Just chat.
Just rumours.
Just rumours. Apparently,
just Kane Corns.
Yeah, he reckons that there was a lot of chat that he might be moving across to Port. But
I'd heard that too.
Yeah. No, that doesn't happen. That's clickbait.
There's no way that's happening.
That's Kane Corns. I don't remember Corn. Fucking.
There'd be a lot of clubs that would want a veteran tour that can kick goals.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Yes, maybe you have to manage his minutes going forward, but
he's still so good. I wonder if the on the nose comments last year and the suspension plays into.
That hurts his stock?
Yeah, definitely. I think some teams will think, no, we don't want that storyline coming, especially in in an era where we have Indigenous round and it's spoken about so much, and Collingwood, all their problems with alleged racism and Eddie Maguire losing his job over it. I think a lot of teams would just say, no, we don't want that heat out of a 32, 33-year-old.
Though if he goes out, he won't win the Coleman, but if he goes out, finishes the top 5 in the Coleman, you kind of go, do I weigh that risk and get a guy that's going to kick us a fuckload of goals and potentially help us win a premiership? Yeah,
interesting. Can you get up the Coleman as we talk about the Gold Coast Suns beating the Kangaroos? The Roos, they started well. They won.
Speaking of teams that suck.
Won the first quarter. One is definitely pretty sucky in here. One's seeming to be pretty good.
Yeah, well, have you seen all the chats about the potential trade for Jason and him move going anywhere. Essentially, I've seen
Horn Francis.
I've seen so many like fake trades been thrown out of him moving on.
Again, rumours, clickbait. Does he want to go back to South Australia? Is a lot of the
Port Adelaide again going back to Port Adelaide? They of course want someone in the forward line. So,
is he just doing the old I'm not happy here, pay me kind of chat? He did limp off as well in this one. Gold Coast won this pretty handily. The Roos, they started well, but they didn't show up for quarters 2 and 4. They were scoreless in the second and only kicked 2 points in the fourth. How about this? 13 different goal scorers for the Suns. We spoke about the Western Bulldogs, where they have 16 a few weeks ago. 13 for the Gold Coast Suns. Only Sam Day and Isaac Rankin kicking 2. Sam Day, his first game back for the Suns in quite some time. He did a knee last year and then a foot after that. Maybe some sort of speculation as to is he in the Suns' best 22 with Levo Casbolt sort of being resurgent in his career. Poor fella, he's had a rotten run. I don't think he's completed a full 22 games ever in his career. He's had shoulder problems, knee, ankle, the rest of it. But good to see him out there and kicking 2. Now, what wasn't good to see was Lockie Weller. He went. There was only like 5 minutes left in the game, rather. Suspected ACL. It looked bad. It was the old non-contact, no one around kind of sniper situation.
Yeah, they usually end up being ACLs, unfortunately.
So Hugh, I imagine, be getting his scans today or tomorrow. Let's hope it's not a season ender for Lockie Weller. The Suns, they improved to 6-6. They're 4 from their last 5. They have the bye next week, and it'll be the Roos battling that West Coast Eagles for the spoon, I believe. They play GWS at Marvel next week. They are only ahead of West Coast by 1.5 percentage points. Percentages? I don't know what the...
1.5%?
Yeah, 1.5%. There you go. That'll work.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Now,
let's talk about some good football.
Yeah, the game of the week, the game of the round, Sydney upsetting the Melbourne Demons at the MCG. The D's, they started hot in the first quarter, and then the Swans sort of came back to have a 2-point lead at half.
It's good to see a young Swans team grind out a football game.
Without Buddy.
Without Buddy, yes.
So we were asking last
Big
week.
question last week. Yeah.
Are they too reliant on Lance Buddy Franklin, Lance of 1,000 goals fame? As per Adam Cooney, he said they are too reliant on Buddy Franklin. Well, they just went out away and beat the defending premiers without Buddy Franklin. So I suppose, Adam Cooney, he's got a Brownlow. He's a first overall draft pick, but I think he may have dropped the ball on this one. The Swans go out and make a statement. No, we aren't that reliant on Buddy Franklin. We can win without him. Logan McDonald, the young 19-year-old, he stepped up with 3. Sam Reid
he's
also
the one,
had 3.
He's the one.
The passing of the baton, the proverbial baton. Swans have the bye next week. The D's have lost 2 on the trot.
Well, they're 0-2 underneath Albanese so far. So that's been the chat this week.
The Albanese, interesting.
Change of PM and they've gone from good to bad.
I hadn't thought of that. They have lost 2 in a row for the first time since mid-2020. Yep. Good for the comp. This is good for the comp, I believe. I think 2 weeks ago it was kind of like, Melbourne in the AFL, Penrith in the NRL. You're kind of thinking who can beat these teams, and then Freo and the Swans go out and they say, look, there's a few other sides that you need to have. Yeah, exactly. You need to have in your premiership. Contenders. Well, and Melbourne have lost 2 in a row.
So the top 4, then there's only one Victorian team, yeah, because we're talking Freo, Brisbane, and Sydney.
Yes. Yeah. So St Kilda and Carlton and Geelong all sitting out. Geelong as it stands. Okay. Actually, no, that will stand because St Kilda have the bye. So Geelong will finish round 12 in the top 4.
Yep. Yeah, no, true.
Interesting. No, I'm just Just thinking
Close.
Spitballing.
Think about finals coming. Well, it might not happen now. It's like some of those teams kind of showing their wares. Sydney beating Melbourne is a good way to signal your intentions for the final series. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just interesting to see what happens going forward.
Massey Gawn, he did his best efforts last night. How about this for a stat line? 18 kicks, 10 handballs. That's 28 disposals out of your ruckman. 9 marks, 30 hit-outs, 3 sausage rolls. They play Collingwood next week on the Queen's birthday Monday. The big freeze has been a staple in the AFL fixtures now for quite some time. Expect him to go well against the Collingwood Magpies without Brodie Grundy. Speaking of Collingwood, they currently lead Hawthorn by 17 points in a wet.
Yeah, it looks like it's raining.
It looks very wet.
Where are they playing?
It's the MCG there, back.
Yep.
In
Melbourne.
That is third quarter. Yeah, well, it's raining everywhere.
Yeah, it's raining. Oh, it's fucking cold here. It's probably the difference.
Sure is.
Tell me about it.
Now, we have a logjam for that 8th spot. So, as it stands, the Bulldogs have 8th. If the Pies go on to win this, they have that 17-point lead. They will jump into that 8th spot. The Dogs, Tigers, Suns, Pies all currently on 24 points. Freo Brisbane, that will be the Sunday night game.
Big game.
Our time, Sunday Arvo over there in the West. Massive game. That is 2 versus 3. The Lachie Neale Bowl, if you will. A lot of talk about Nat Fyfe making his AFL return. He played in the Waffle yesterday for the Peel Thunder.
Did you see he was signing autographs at 3/4 time?
He got mobbed. It was Lance Franklin kicks 1,000 scenes there as Peel Thunder beat Subiaco by 4 points.
Yeah.
It was also I saw the photo of the Peel Thunder debutantes getting around as well. Three young blokes, getting into their first Waffle game, and Nat Fyfe. Let's hope the young bloke goes okay. He did okay. He had 24 disposals in their 6-point win. You'd imagine lines up for Fremantle next week.
I'd say so if he's healthy. And like we've been talking, potentially they could just manage him a little bit. He doesn't need to play a full game straight away, work him back in there. But I think it makes more sense instead of trying to throw him out against the Lions for a very competitive game. You
throw him to the Lions. I see what you did there.
Who do they play next week? Do they have a little bit of a nicer matchup?
They play Hawthorn next week.
That's a nicer matchup for them. Get him in there, get him some game time, maybe not play a full game and see how it goes.
60% on the ground, 70%, something like that.
Yeah, easy done.
Yeah. Monks, the Coleman medal count has got a new leader with Charlie Curnow having the week off. Jez Cameron.
That's it. Yeah, Jez Cameron. He's taken the lead with 38 goals. Curnow's just behind him on 37, so you'd probably expect him to take that back over next game. And then, Tom Hawkins, 33, Max King at 32, and finishing out the top 5, we've got Tom Lynch at 31.
Interesting 2 cats, 1 and 3, the Twin Towers there with the Tomahawk and Jez Cameron.
Well, they are an older team, so they might slightly play an older brand of football as well. More traditional in that way.
It's pretty good.
Still pretty good, yeah. Like getting goals.
It's not like West Coast old.
No. I think they showed before Scott Penberry, and this got 9,000 disposals as well. Joined the 9,000 club.
It's over 9,000.
I was waiting for one of you to do that, to quote it. So
I didn't even really watch that show, but I know that one.
Yeah, everyone knows that one. Bit of an interesting stat there for a long time pie.
Let's talk some rugby league. We need to get the actual sound.
I think you do a pretty good job.
You reckon?
Yeah, I quite enjoy it.
Thank you.
That and the final rounds on point.
Yeah. Cheers. Peter V'landers, he's on the
Perhaps
panel.
He's just like, fuck, I got a compliment. Oh my God. I've never had V'landers before.
All as they say, my nose is so big and my dick is so small.
My calves are so tiny.
My calves are so puny. I was copping calf chat on Friday night. Shout out to Luke Andreetta, good mate of mine. Yeah, getting stuck into Pepsi's calves. They're the hardest muscle to grow, bro. They're the hardest muscle to grow.
Too funny. Yeah.
Speaking of small calves, Peter V'landers. Never seen his calves in my life.
Horseman.
Yeah, definitely big schnoz on it. He's going to be on a panel to select the Australian team. Is this a good idea, considering we struggle pronouncing names here on the Esky, but I can say Josh Alleyway and Peter.
Yeah, you could say Josh. He couldn't do that.
Did he struggled with the Josh?
Yes, he did.
Poor
He
big
didn't even
dick
say
language.
Josh wrong.
He did a lot through the COVID era.
I guarantee
Yeah.
the teleprompter dude fucked him on that one. He's just like, fuck you, bit of
I am Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
It's an interesting idea. That I think it's there's three groups involved in it. So I think there's players and representatives in one, and then there's coaching sort of committee in one, and then he is kind of the face for the NRL as the other part, and this is the selection group that's going to pick the Australian squad. I guess from his perspective, it's like getting the clean whistles and the blue collar. That's what he wants to represent the Australian squad. So Cam Munsters of the world probably he might be he might get two of those groups to pick him, but the Landers like, nah, I don't want him because he's not clean enough for me. So
that's the issue that you probably have with him, like having the chairman of the commission saying, no, I don't want that guy.
It's fucking dumb.
It's so dumb.
Dumb.
It's probably not going to matter because we should still win all games.
But you should have Scott Morrison on the under 12s soccer panel to pick the best under 12s that don't fall on the other ones.
No, the comparison is he should pick the Socceroos team. That's what we're getting at.
This is so dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Why would a guy that has no experience in rugby league outside of being a fan have any opinion? Yeah. Why should three morons that have never played rugby league give their opinion on the internet? I think that's a less dumb of an idea than Peter Delandis being on the selection panel for the Kangaroos.
Because the only reason he would be making selection is based on business and the sellability of the thing is not a fucking word, but being able to the ability to sell the game, marketability.
There we go, Mark.
I knew it was an ability of something, marketability, and counting on the end. So that's what he would be picking players on. He's not picking them on stats and skills and fits and chemistry and.
But when you want to win a World Cup,
will it matter? Australia A could probably still win the World Cup.
Yes, and also how much of this is ritualistic?
Yeah,
he's on the selection panel. Yeah. Is he the one out there that's got to choose between a Daniel Tupou and a Josh Addo-Carr? We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, is Mal still the Australian coach?
Yeah, I believe
so. So he's probably going to have. I don't know. Mal is probably going to have the Origin guys from different camps in there. So he'll be sitting in the corner while these guys probably make all the decisions. And as long as they don't pick one he doesn't like, he'll probably keep quiet. So let's just hope that's the way it goes. Otherwise, it seems dumb.
Does seem dumb. The Parramatta Eels, they're on a bye this weekend, but Ryan Madison, he
in the chat, yes.
Yeah. So, Monks, if you wouldn't mind just seeing what the latest is on Ryan Madison. He's set to make his Blues debut on Wednesday night. Not many people had him in their teams. A little bit of a bolter. Definitely does a lot of hard work. Definitely good rig. So, what's the go with him? The Finns are after him?
I think there was like a 3-year deal on the table that he was going to pick. I think it was basically done deal, going to happen. We'll sign this contract and he'll go join the Dolphins. And the Dolphins forward pack is looking very good if he does.
Yeah.
They've definitely got some talent in that forward pack. Maybe a bit light on in the back line, but they did just sign the Bulldogs, one of their reserve halfbacks, I think. So to add another name into that, but nothing to write home about.
Oh, did they get Jeremy Marshall-King?
Yes.
The hooker.
Okay, there you go. Yep. They added him. But sounds like this was going to happen, potentially going to be announced in the week, and the Eels said, hold on a minute, do you want 4 years? We'll give you an extra year and 2.5 mil. So I think he's now weighing up his options of does he stay, does he go? If the deals are comparable, one seems a bit longer, and money-wise, then, we'll have to see. But, of course, getting another Origin player, that was the chat. Can I pick another Origin player for the Dolphins?
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Bidding war, perhaps,
maybe
over Matto.
You'd think the Finns would want to keep some money and try to get something in the back line.
Cam Munster.
Yeah, well, that's one. Or if they can get something, any of the other guys potentially available in that back line, because that's where they're light on at the moment.
As Monks chases up the latest news in that one, maybe we talk about Cowboys, Todd?
Yep.
Cowboys, they're looking pretty good.
Even without their origin stars.
Yeah, so they won Thursday night against the Titans, 32-6 at Seabus Super Stadium. The Cows ended up having 4 guys out to Origin, so Valentine Holmes, Ruben Cotter, and Jeremiah Nanai.
Yep.
And then Tom Dearden is the 18th man, so he missed out on this game. Murray Tulangi and Hamiso Tabuai Fido, they played despite being in the Origin camp. The Hammer, he scored 2 meat pies, but it was a Jason Tamalolo show. He was back and playing his best footy. Not that he's missed anything. He's back, I suppose, compared to 2021. Tamalolo, 29 tackles, 6 tackle busts, 3 offloads, 207 run meters. Scott Drinkwater was good again for the Cows. A bit of a bounce back after, not looking like the Cowboys that we've seen the last few weeks in getting hammered by Penrith last week. They seem like the real deal, don't they?
Definitely. Titans are Titans. They've kind of fallen to the wayside, and not a lot of people paying attention to them, unfortunately. And they've in dire straits. I think did Campbell get injured in this game or last week?
No, Cam. It was this. Yeah,
he got injured as well. I think recurring hamstring problems for him.
You don't want.
So
Dave Fafita also unavailable.
Big Tino, of course, didn't play for Origin. But
then a few guys that had kind of were Origin smokies in Mo Fotuaika, Jared Wallace. They both played.
Brimson, so
AJ Brimson playing 6.
I don't know. The Titans, for seeing how bad they're going and how their poor form in the last, not just this year but last year as well, Holbrook, their coach, just getting a solid pass. There's no chat about him. Everyone's on the Mike Maguire and getting stuck in a Madge. And, you already saw Trent Barrett getting the axe, but no one talks about the Titans head coach.
Dire straits, mate. The Sultans of Swing.
It's good to see Brisbane and Cowboys both still in the top 4. Well, they slide out last week.
Well, Brisbane are on a bye, but you get 2 points, so they should,
considering where they were last year and where they are now.
Yeah, so as it stands, North Queensland 18 points, 3rd. Brisbane 16 points in 4th. And
they'll probably stay there because they'll get the bye. The Eels have got the bye. Roosters got to play a Raiders, so they win that. So they'll probably be in the same spot they are now.
2 teams that no one thought would be sitting 3rd and 4th at the start of the year. That's for sure. Any news on Matto?
So the Eels did have that tabled a deal for 2.5 mil contract with him. Nothing else really. I think
if it's a 4-year deal, what's the average on that? Someone do some quick math.
2.5 by 2 is 1.25 by 2 again is 600 and something.
70 odd. Let's go 70 odd. And then just off the back of that, also with Monster, I think he came out.
612.
That's probably unders.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, can look at some of the deals the other second rows that played Origin are getting.
Dave Fafita 1.2 mil.
Yeah, well, what's Tyson Frizzell getting at Newcastle? I think he's getting 700 plus.
Yeah. That's a shout. And Madison has a versatility that possibly a Tyson Frizzell doesn't have. You could, you could name him maybe as a 6. You could maybe chuck him in the centres.
They wouldn't do that to him, would they?
He's a good utility player. I think that's why.
Well, considering what they've got invested already in I'm talking about the Dolphins, invested in the forward line, they wouldn't think of signing him and potentially turning him into a backline player.
Interesting as well because they signed Ewan Aiken last week as well,
Yep.
and a lot of chat that he might have to go back to the centres.
They don't have a full roster yet. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Until they get some more numbers there.
Just back on Munster, he said as long as Bellyache's still at the Storm, he's going to be playing with them. So
He hasn't signed anything though.
hasn't signed anything, but
If they offer him a $500,000 contract and the Dolphins are
the
a mil,
Dolphins are going 1.2.
he's like, Wayne's close enough.
I don't know. I'll tell you right now, boys, our friendship is not worth $700,000. I'd sign straight away. I'd say where
you're staying with the OTE podcast.
Nope, I'd say if you're going to pay me $700,000 more, I'd say nice to know you, boys. Let's exchange emails, etc.
I thought it wasn't about the money.
No loyalty. That's what the oldies say these days. There's no loyalty left in this game. I guess you guys used to have to be like plumbers and electricians and shit and go play footy. That's when there was loyalty.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So the next game, Panthers reserve squad beat the Bulldogs.
Yes, seven players on Origin duties for the Penrith Panthers. Appy Coruscant did play, coming back from camp. I think the Panthers were $1.30 here to beat Canterbury with essentially a reserve grade side. They did get the job done, 30-18. The big talking point, I suppose, was Josh Addo-Carr. He had a bit of a blinder, 2 meaties, 172 run meters, 4 tackle busts after...
For a winger?
Yeah.
Tasty.
After a notable omission from the Blues side.
Yeah.
What's in this one?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about the snub now or the game.
Talk about the snub.
So I think we covered it pretty well in our preview for the teams that potentially they'd want to go more size on the wing, and Addo-Carr was the one that missed out. But you think of the job he's done for New South Wales, the fact I think he's 1 try off being the leading try scorer for New South Wales as well.
Yep.
Yes, he's been playing with the Bulldogs squad, and them and the Tigers I don't think have had Origin players for 5 to 6 years, but he's still I think he was like 6th in tries scored. He's still scoring tries. He's still his numbers are still within the top 10 across the board for wingers. So he's still doing well, but he's just in a shit side. Of course, he's not going to get as much ball in a shit side playing on the wing
You
either,
can only be as good as the guys inside you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he could still do a job for you in Origin. And the more I thought on it, the more I thought, I think it was a bit harsh to leave Addo-Carr out, but I can understand the reason. I think it's going to suck for the Bulldogs trying to attract talent in the future, especially if you're a fringe Origin player and
outside back.
Yeah, outside back, and going to get paid going there, and then next minute you're not even involved in the conversation for Origin. Because he's not even in the squad. He wasn't reserve, backline player.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. So, I think it's a bit rough on Addo-Carr, but hey, it's the nature of the game. The wingers, I think, are probably one of the ones that do get changed a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more expendable, perhaps.
I was going to say, you'd probably still see him play at least one game this series, you'd think.
Yeah, well, that's also the chat. We'll have to see how game 1 goes.
But if To'o and Tupou don't get hurt and New South Wales wins, which everyone's expecting happens.
Yeah.
But, if Cobbo gets a hat-trick going against Daniel Tupou, they might be like, we're going to change you out.
Maybe.
It could all very depend on what happens. If they win 40-0, it won't matter. Addo-Carr's not getting a run.
We will know Wednesday night how that unfolds. Penrith still getting the job done in this one. Dogs reeling down towards the bottom of the table.
Are they last or the Tigers?
No, I think
they've taken ownership of the spoon.
The Bulldogs are last. I am pretty sure.
They are on 4 points.
Yep.
Titans
are on
6.
Titans.
6 points.
With that loss, actually
Tigers,
dropped below the West Tigers.
Go back to my chat about get at the Titans head coach. Why is he getting a solid pass? Probably because he's in the Gold Coast and no one gives a fuck. Doesn't sell headlines in Sydney, unfortunately. Headlines that do sell in Sydney, Manly get a big win over the Warriors. Warriors, another team kind of reeling at the moment.
I think they've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, with guys leaving. Did you see Reece Walsh's comments post-game that a lot of guys need to have a look in the mirror? Do they really need to, are they out here playing their best footy? Are they playing for the team, etc.? Considering he's 19, the young guy at the club. It's some stark comments for the Warriors. They're getting absolutely pumped by the Manly team, who were down 1 turbo, but Jake Turbo was in this. Another one of those guys that got snubbed. From the Origin team.
You see his post-match presser? He is legitimately the best bloke in the world.
Oh yeah,
played out of his skin, and they asked him, what were your feelings about getting omitted from the Blues side? And he said, it was disappointed. I was disappointed, but I'm proud that I got to captain my club, at home, Manly Junior. Nothing bad to say about anyone or anything.
Is he their captain week in, week out?
No, Daly Chilerier.
Yeah, that's what.
Hence him getting.
Yes, okay,
hence him getting the captaincy.
Yeah, DCE captain. Should have done that.
Ruben Garrick out of his skin. 2 tries, 8 goals.
Yeah, couldn't miss a conversion in this one.
No, absolutely unbelievable scenes there for Manly, and the 4 p.m. game should be pretty close to kicking off here between the Raiders and the Chooks there at Bruce Stadium. You shouted out Jared Croker, a beer, poor fella, possibly season done, possibly career done. Wishing him all the best with his rehab.
Definitely. This will be an interesting football game because I think, both teams, their 2 best players are on Origin duties. So
Tedesco, Whiten, both gone.
I won't say Daniel Tupper's second best player plays for the Roosters, but they're also missing, so they got 2 out as well.
Indeed.
But they are missing Teddy being their big one.
Well, Lindsay Collins as well.
Did he get in the squad?
Did he make Queensland team?
I don't think he did. I don't think
15. Yeah.
He was? Okay. Yeah. On the bench. So Lindsay Collins as well. That's a big out. Papali's probably the big one, of course, for the Raiders, with Jack also in the New South Wales team. So, interesting game of footy. We'll see what happens with the shuffle basically across the board for the Spines.
Do you reckon that's an equaliser in any way?
Could be.
Yeah, see, I reckon so.
Yeah, the Roosters haven't been at their best, and they've been up and down with chemistry. So
Teddy's a big out, man.
He does a lot for him. Who's playing one for them? Is it Jose?
Manu goes to 1.
Manu goes to 1.
So Momborovsky and Kevin Naikwama in the centres there.
What about you? Didn't Joseph Suwali make in the Origin squad for 20?
Yeah, he was in the squad. Is he playing?
I don't think he was in the 18, so
no,
he'll be playing for the Roosters.
Is he playing for the Roosters?
Yeah, he's outside of the 18, which means they're free to be released to play this week.
Yeah, and that would be an experience-based thing, I think. Getting a young fella in that probably will play a lot of Origin football moving forward.
But there's probably a lot of other young blokes in the comp that have been performing better of late.
The bloke's 19.
Also true.
Let's and name base. There's so much. Sawali is the next big thing. It's like a young Sonny Bill.
Go back to stories coming out of Sydney headlines. That is the big one. So he gets a lot of media attention for that very reason.
Sawali is named on the wing.
Yeah, he'll play on the wing there. Origin teams. So let's give a quick preview of Wednesday night. We did talk about
that up on the big screen.
We did talk about the snubs. So I think the interesting things team-wise was Whiten to start in the centres and Ben Hunt to start as hooker for Queensland. So do you want to run through your thoughts on New South Wales starting squad?
Pretty much as expected. I think we had Addo Carr in our team. Tupu obviously getting that spot on the wing. Katoni Staggs going to make his Origin debut. We've been big on Katoni Staggs. I've been big on Katoni Staggs in the last month in this lead up. Jack Whiten getting the starting centre role with Stephen Crichton as the 14, perhaps a little bit of a surprise.
Head scratcher, but I think, do you think it's maybe a bit more of cover for the debutant? So instead of having 2 starting debutants in your centres, you just have 1. And Jack, who has played Origin, of course, off the bench.
And been good,
has played centre in the past, so he can probably fit in a role there. And then, you can bring Crichton in later in the game. So I'd expect maybe Jack to play 60 in this one. And Crichton will maybe play 20, or they might find a role for Crichton somewhere else on the field.
I think Crichton has to be the true utility, which is weird. Which is
odd for him for his...
Yeah, given that he's probably a true centre, and we've spoken at length about Whiten's ability to play every position that's not prop.
Yeah, I think it's more coverage for game 1, and then game 2 it'll probably be the other way around. I think it's like get him in there, get him used to it, get him settled in Sydney, and then that'll hopefully give the start to Crichton on in Perth when they go across there for game 2.
I think the rest of the side, not too many head scratches there. Luai and Cleary, they were always going to get the half positions. I think Payne Haas and Junior Paulo makes sense as the props. Damien Cook, we spoke about Api Coruscant. Would he usurp him? No, I think Cook's last month has been unreal. Does things that other hookers can't do. Cameron Murray was probably a lock for the 11, Isaiah Yeo probably a lock for the 13. Tarek Sims, there was maybe a little bit of chat about has his form for the Dragons been good enough. Was very, very good in Origin last year. Can be that tough enforcer type. Angus Crichton and Tyson Frizzell probably unlucky to miss out there.
And Jake Turbo was the other one. He played there last year.
But that's the thing about Turbo as well. He's not a true edge back rower, so you've got your 3 middles already in Haas, Paulo,
Yo's kind of filling that role that you'd think Jake would probably do.
And Jake Turbo, I think if you look at the team's name for last year, he was listed as starting prop.
Yeah.
So the way that Isaiah Yeo's been playing, second in the Dally M, he had to be picked as a lock. Yep. Some interesting kind of tactics with Stephen Crichton being named as 14. I think Liam Martin, we had him in our team, gets that edge back rower bench spot. Like to see Regan Campbell-Gillard getting an opportunity here with his Parramatta Eels teammate in Ryan Matheson. That rounds out the 17. Neko Hines, probably unlucky to be the 18.
Yeah, well, I was looking at that and it was just like, Crichton... They've picked him as the 14. He's going to have to do the job there because Nico Hines, you'd think, would have more ability to cover more positions. But we've had that chat with, Jack could have filled that role as well.
Yeah.
And then, you had Api Coruscant, the Safidi, the younger Safidi brother, I believe.
With that Daniel being unavailable.
And Joseph is the other one.
And Joseph Suwali. Yeah, I think maybe... We've already spoken about Addo Carr and Turbo unlucky. I think Tyson Frizzell may be unlucky as well to bust into that New South Wales team. But essentially, outside of Addo Carr and Turbo, what we expected.
Do you reckon Frizzell gets a bit of that Addo Carr sort of treatment as well with the Knights?
At Newcastle.
Probably with the Knights, yeah.
But if you look at his numbers week in, week out, he is a workhorse. 100%. He's fit. He's hard. I suppose, maybe some people would have him over his ex-teammate in Tarek Sims.
I almost would, yeah.
Yeah, but it's tough. You look at any of these guys. There's an argument to be made either way.
Definitely.
I think Freddie is probably big on the hardness of Tarek Sims and what he gave in the 2021 Origin win for the Blues.
Yeah, and what was it? I think we didn't talk about Finucane missing out, but I think...
hasn't played enough.
Yeah, concussions, I don't think he's kind of right. He's been excellent for Sharks when he's played, but he's been a bit hit and miss for them. I think a good squad. It's not much else to see. Of course, they've got the 2 big outs in Turbo and Latrell, but we'll have to see if Cantoni and Jack can do a job for him.
And Sean, you pretty much nailed this Queensland side. I think, what did you miss? You had Harry Grant starting over Ben Hunt.
Yeah, and
as the 9.
I wonder if that's a bit of a reward for Ben and what he's been doing, and the fact that Harry didn't play last week as well because of the injury to the. What do you have?
Adductor.
Groin. Or was it to the D or is it ab or do?
Double D. Daisy Dukes. Adductor, the groin, the muscles that bring the legs together.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's a bit of cover. And this will be the question: how much game time Ben Hunt plays in this? Does he play the full 60 and it's 20, or is it more of a 30-minute thing and then they're pouring Harry Grant on? Then maybe they shift Harry into the second row and Ben Hunt comes on for the last 10, 15.
Yep. Versatility, I think Ben Hunt, that's why he's named at 9. But if anything was to go down, he could play in the halves. Yeah. He can give you something else. And
adds a kicking game as well, another kicking option from hooker.
Yeah, was very good last year in that game that he played.
So I think I then had probably Papali, Capewell and Kafusi as well. Cotter gets the lock. But it was good to see that the Carrigan and who was the other one they put on the bench. I don't think I had Lindsay Collins in my starting squad. So that's why I completely missed that he was 15. But yeah, Carrigan there on the bench was a good get, and then getting the other Cowboys second row there too was. I think that's a good solid team. I'd be interested to see some young forwards getting put into that squad. Let's see if they can do a job for us.
Fair few debutants there, isn't it? So Cobbo is a debutant. Cotter's
is, and then
Nanai definitely is.
Carrigan.
Has Carrigan played for? So he's a debutant?
Yeah, so those 6 and 17 would be debutants, and then I think the rest of the debutants came from the bottom half. Because like Flegler, Deedon, and Murray all weren't in the squad last year, I don't think. Maybe Deedon was in the squad last year. No, I don't think so.
Anyways, State of Origin, Wednesday night. State against state, mate against mate. Can't wait.
I assume New South Wales, Queensland.
Yeah.
No Judas is here.
Massive game here in Sydney.
It's a big game considering Game 2's in Perth.
Yeah, exactly. If the Blues go out and win this one, you'd think the work will be ahead of the Maroons, given the neutral venue for Game 2 and then Game 3 being in Queensland.
And we confirmed that only played one game in Perth in Origin, and that was a game that they put 40 points on Queensland. So not a great track record off one game for Queensland.
No, indeed.
Just real quick back on Dale Finucane. He's got a knee injury. Won't be back for till around 16 anyway. So
there you go.
Banged up.
Unavailable. Mm-hmm. Do you want to run us through some news in the NFL? I might go have a quick wee.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Say hello in French. Wee. Yeah. Todd Carney says hi. Wee.
Just don't say hi to yourself. Again, not too much happening in the NFL.
A bit of quiet.
At the moment, it's still a bit quiet.
It was retirement week. The fact that it was so quiet was we had the golf match between Rodgers, Brady, taking on Mahomes and Josh Allen. Rodgers sunk the final putt to win the game. I think Mahomes carried Allen a little bit was the chat. Some good back and forth. Allen was talking about how good Aaron Rodgers was as a golfer, and then he was like, I guess that's what happens when you skip OTAs every year. So some good banter in there for the golf, and keeping golf relevant with NFL stars does help a little bit. But that was their third annual. The match is what they called, I think.
Yeah, okay. I have seen a few.
I think they've done at least two with Brady and Rodgers being opposite teams, and this was the first.
This was the first one. It was like
NFL.
All players, yeah. Before it was like a pro-am sort of situation with actual golfers, yeah.
Yep.
Did you see Josh Allen's the ball that he was playing with?
Oh, he had the one with the combine photo of Tom Brady on it.
Photo,
yes. Yeah. And then did you see Tom Brady had Lombardi's on his and then showed you? It's like, Josh Allen, have you ever seen one of these before?
That's it.
He's like, I've seen them.
Yeah. Anyway. That was good back and forth between them. I think they had like some sort of skills challenge beforehand as well. Whereas I think Allen and Mahomes were sort of partnered together doing their thing, and then but with Rodgers and Brady, they were sort of off on their own doing virtual stuff. So there's a bit of back and forth between the teams with that as well.
Yeah. Definitely some good banter. So definitely a good thing to do in the off season to keep their interest peaking.
They should turn the Pro Bowl into something like this.
Pro Bowl golf tournament. There you go. Heard it here first on the Esky. I see what Peps will love that, I think. Let's talk retirements, because it was a week of retirements. Ryan Fitzpatrick officially retired. Was the only he and Aaron Rodgers were the only players. Actually, no. So Ryan Fitzpatrick retired. Frank Gore retired. Both from the 2005 draft class. The only player left from that draft class still playing being Aaron Rodgers. So I guess showing 17 years in the league. Frank Gore didn't play last year, I don't think. Has been boxing. Signed a 1-year deal with the San Fran with the 49ers.
One day deal, was it?
Yeah, 1 day deal.
Yeah. I thought you said 1 year.
No, I thought I said day.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1 day deal with the 49ers to retire with them. And then Pro Bowl center Alex Mack during the week also retired. So it's kind of that period where OTA is getting back into training camps, and players are kind of making that decision whether they might have some offers. Do they want to sign to go back through another camp? Do they really want to do that, or do they want to hang up the boots? And we've had 3 big names retire here. Frank Gore. Well, I'll start on Alex Mack. I think he played 13 seasons, 9-ish Pro Bowls in that time frame. So a great offensive lineman, one of the, at one point was the best center in the league. Frank Gore finished 3rd all time in rushing. The longevity of Frank Gore. A lot of people, I think the unfortunate thing for him, his generation, he had guys like AP going through, which took all the headlines away. But he was Mr. Consistent, Mr. Continual player, and was continually putting up good numbers, and finished 3rd all time with rushing yards for him. Fitzpatrick on the other side, the journeyman, the long-term journeyman.
How many teams did he play for?
Well, he played for 9. So the question is, can you list all 9 for me?
No, straight up.
Do you want to have a go?
He played for Washington.
Yes.
He played for Miami.
Yes.
Did he play? He played for the Rams, didn't he?
Yes.
Who else did he play for? Any help, Monks?
I got the list here. I can't help.
He played for the Jets?
Yes.
Did he ever play for Kansas City?
No.
I'm stumped. I've got 4.
There's an easy one on this side of the bench.
Tampa.
Yep.
Tampa. I've got 5 out of 9. That's a pass. Please get degrees.
Rams.
Help me out.
In order: Rams, Bengals, Bills, Titans, Texans, Jets, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Washington football team.
Bengals and Texans.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got some memory of that.
Let's see if I got this right. 2 seasons at Rams, 2 at Bengals, 3 at Bills, 1 at
How did I miss
Titans.
Buffalo? He was. That was when Fitzmagic sort of started happening at Buffalo.
Yeah. 1 at Titans, 1 at Texans, 2 at Jets, 2 at Tampa, 2 at Dolphins, and 1 at Washington. Does that math add up to 17 seasons?
Probably not, but longest tenure was Buffalo Bills 3 years, and then outside of that, just 2-year and 1-year contracts.
Yeah.
It would add up. It adds up.
Oh, well done.
There you go. 17 seasons in the league.
You know which university he went to?
Harvard.
Smart boy.
Yes.
Yeah, he was real smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was.
Got
He
Probably still is.
One of those guys that was good enough to always get first string jobs, get the starting jobs, or at least compete in those roles. Probably started his career off slower, getting cut with a bunch of teams, and then found his feet later. I think it corresponded with growing the beard out. He got better as the beard got longer. But 9 teams that Ryan played for over his career, and one who left that kind of legacy is you probably say the greatest junior man of all time.
Yeah,
I don't think you can number of teams, number of years in the league, good stats to back it up.
It might be the greatest journeyman.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Josh McCown.
But he was more
another
backup. He didn't start a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas with Ryan, he kind of went everywhere. He was the bridge quarterback that every team brought in to bridge him between drafting someone.
But being the backup on however many teams Josh McCown played for, that is peak journeyman as well.
Yeah, true.
There was also Josh Johnson. He was a journeyman with 12 teams.
12?
Yep. I think he's
playing on
a third of the
Denver
league.
at the moment.
What was that?
He's a back. Is he? No.
Yeah, he was on Denver, I think. Monks has got it there.
Yeah, so he's a member of Tampa Bay Bucks. I think he...
Quarterback. Josh Johnson.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay, San Francisco.
Yes. He's currently the backup in Denver to Russell Wilson.
Really?
There you go.
So
right.
Add another team to the list.
Tampa, San Fran, Cleveland, Cincinnati, New York, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Baltimore, New York Giants, Houston Texans, Oakland Raiders, and Washington Redskins.
He did play for 3 different teams last season alone. So
Unreal. Josh Johnson.
currently the backup in Denver.
Yeah, but yeah, probably still not that same level as Fitzpatrick as well.
Well, it hasn't really. No.
Well, considering he's thrown up only 2,270 career statistics, passing yards, and 2,000 statistics in statistics of career passing yards. Yes. Sorry, I just read statistics here and blurted it out.
That is fucking funny.
Yeah.
2,000 statistics. I was
He
struggling to say
probably
it.
has 2,000 statistics. Just 1 meter gained here, 2 meters gained there. But yeah, 2,000 plus ish passing yards to I think the 17. No, actually, Fitzmagic would have done a lot more than that. Well, what's Ryan? Do you got Ryan in front of you? What's Ryan Fitzpatrick?
He would have like over 30,000 yards, maybe.
He'd have a lot.
Top of the head.
Yeah. 34,990 yards.
There you go.
Just needs to play one more game to get that 350.
Yeah, 223 touchdowns in that time frame. So I saw this stat between because Rodgers went in his draft. Fitzpatrick was the last quarterback taken in the last round. So combined, all the quarterbacks in between them didn't throw as many touchdown passes as Ryan did in his career. So
That seems
the chip on the shoulder.
Fitz magic.
Yeah.
And that's NFL news.
Bit of round ball.
Yep, keep going.
International soccer this week. Obviously, we spoke at length last week about all the clubs wrapping up, Champions League, Real, etc.,
All the
etc.
leagues ending.
So Socceroos do or die Tuesday our time, Tuesday night. They face off against UAE in
Raiders on, by the way.
Qatar. In Qatar, they did beat Jordan in a warm-up friendly.
We
this
blinked.
week.
We blinked and Hawthorn are in front.
Yeah, very close there in Hawthorn, Collingwood.
Keep going. Sorry.
The winner of the Socceroos UAE game will get Peru the next week. So, in essentially the next 2 weeks, we find out who goes through from that berth. And then in Europe, much anticipated game, Ukraine beating Scotland 3-1. They will play Wales tonight for a spot in the World Cup. There was Scottish legends saying, we hope, or not that we hope, but we don't mind if Ukraine beats us because it will mean so much to the country. And then Ukraine obviously facing off against Wales. Nottingham Forest, they will go through to the EPL.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Beat Huddersfield 1-0 Monday night, our time. So Notts Forest haven't been in the EPL for a long, long time. We spoke about their success back in 76, 77, winning the Champions League. So good to see, a team with 2 more Champions League wins than Manchester City coming back into the EPL. Let's see how they go.
Yes. A lot's getting decided for World Cup coming up.
Indeed.
We're very hopeful to get across to South America. But I don't like our chances once in South America. But
No, it's in Qatar.
well, the
But it's
game,
against
but
Peru.
against
Peru,
Peru.
yeah.
That's what I meant.
Who knows, bro?
Dreams happen. UFC and boxing, final round.
Ding, ding.
Actually, Monk's made a great point while you were in the bathroom, because we're talking about the golf with the Brady Manning thing. And I just wanted to bring it up so we cover it, because I was thinking final round, thinking golf. His suggestion was the Pro Bowl should be a golf tournament.
Oh, I like that.
I thought you
You'd
would.
say that.
That's great. That's much better than the bullshit football that gets dished up in the Pro Bowl at the moment.
That's it.
Just to take the match concept they've got and then just create some groups and turn it into a golf tournament. Get some chat with the lads.
Don't hate it.
A few beverages maybe as well to help out.
Yeah.
I reckon quarterback domination.
It would be. That's probably the thing have to think about. I'm assuming
But you wouldn't think that the O-line group going through, that'd be hilarious.
Would be
would
funny.
be.
Some scenes.
you'd have to play. Yeah, maybe
Few
you
big
go
drives.
like player groups. You have
Yeah, no short game. It's just all
You have
the muscle.
O-line quarterback groups. You have like tight end receiver groups.
Golf tournament. It's
There
a
you
great
go.
idea.
Yeah. Heard of me first.
I would actually watch that.
At the NFL, get at us. We can give you some details and help you organise it.
We can.
All right, back to where we were, boxing. We mentioned, of course, the result unfortunately for our Australian lad George in this one, losing by unanimous decision. I think it was, what was it, 118, 112, two judges, and one other judge gave it 116, 114.
In layman's terms, two judges scored it 10 rounds to 2 for Haney, and then one judge scored it 8 rounds to 4.
Yes.
For Haney. Unanimous. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah. From what we saw?
Yeah, from what we saw.
We can talk about the rematch because there's going to be you'd assume there'll be a rematch with the rematch clause. They'll have to do it again, probably in America. But you could see, I guess, the game plan for Haney with the size, stay on the outside, jab, score, land the 1-2 when you can, do some damage that way, and kind of force George to try to come in, wear the punishment, and have to fight coming forward in this one. And of course it worked. It scored him good points, got him the judge's decision. It'd be interesting to see what a rematch looks like between them, whether that changes up the game plan or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting fight. You could definitely... Even though with the home field and the noise in the crowd, you could see it was kind of going Haney's way in this, and that was the result.
So just going back to that rematch, it's in the clause, is it not? It's written into the contract.
Yes.
Does Kambosos get a shot to try and get these belts back?
Correct.
And how does that work?
Well, they just plan another one, and then they organise it.
And it's for all the belts?
Yes.
That's huge. Mm-hmm. That is massive.
Yep.
So does that mean...
But it also contracts pieces of paper, so there is
you can
that
tear
chat
them
as
up.
Well. There is that chat as well, and
you can shit on them.
Yes, yeah.
At Amber Heard.
Yeah, use them as toilet paper. Actually, no, she probably didn't use any toilet paper. She used sheets.
She might have wiped her ass along the sheets like a dog.
Yes. Get a bit sidetracked. Funny though.
So does that rematch have to happen? I guess, lack of a better word, immediately, like the next fight that Haney has?
Not always.
Okay.
We've definitely seen rematches with, think Anthony Joshua with his multiple rematches. Yeah. They want another fight camp. They usually have, that's 8 weeks, 12 weeks. So you could have 3 months. So you probably want a break. So at earliest, I'd say there wouldn't be a rematch until 4 months from now. So if they pick Vegas, maybe getting towards the cooler months in the year, that's potentially like a November time frame. Let's say.
Yeah, but Haney won't fight anyone else in between now and then.
You wouldn't think so.
Or Kambosos.
Could, because it's a rematch clause, not a mandatory.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so they could go off and have their separate fights, and they could have this rematch next year, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I think if it's like that, what we're saying, that clause for a rematch for the belts, they'd probably push to have that done earlier in the case that, and he fights the mandatory, loses one of his belts to that guy, and then they can't keep doing the conversation for undisputed champion, which is what we should probably talk about. The 8th undisputed champion since 2004, lightweight champion.
In the 4-belt era.
In the 4-belt era, yep. Youngest also to
23.
Be 23. So yeah, it's all props to him. Like he came into
hostile environment,
travelled for it, got the win. So got to give him a big props for doing that.
He goes to 28-0. He had 15 KOs. Watching this, you thought, it's going to go the distance. And then obviously it did. And then after about 6, 7, 8 rounds, you thought Kambosos has to get a knockout here because he's been worked.
Yep. Yeah, I think the cut above his eye sort of led to
all the welting. Like you could see his face looked red and banged up.
Yeah,
of course, having to eat all those jabs, trying to get into to make any progress. Like you could see. Whereas on the flip side, Haney just looked clean. Like he just had a workout and was just sweated it out a bit.
Yeah, not that cuts and stuff are any indication of how the fight's going, but he looked like he was taking a lot more damage. Obviously trying to get within the range of Haney.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That's probably enough boxing news. A few other big fights kind of rumoured coming up, but we'll see if they get announced, and then we'll take it from there. Which means UFC, I think.
Yeah, what's confirmed is that UFC 275 is coming up next week. We'll go quickly through what happened today in Rosenstruck and Volkov.
Yep.
Interesting stoppage.
Yeah, well, Volkov was
Early,
laying the hurt down, and Jared, of course, Rosenstruck was covered up. Wasn't really returning anything. Was a little bit wobbled when he went down on the edge of the cage, but Herb jumps in to stop it, and then Jared sneaks out the back and stands up and was like, "I'm good."
When did his name become Jared? Is that a thing?
Not Jared.
Jazinho. Aussie name Jared.
Yeah.
AKA Jazz.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good old Rosenstruck.
It's the only way Sean was going to ever pronounce his name.
Sorry,
Jared.
I had it in my head that it was Jared.
It's close. It's Jazinho.
Okay.
Yep.
Look, I haven't looked at it recently.
I would have struggled pronouncing his name.
Sorry,
so
Rosenstruck.
I can't say anything.
So Rosenstruck was trying to escape out the back, and well, he did, but Herb had already called it off by then.
Do you think that's because Herb was calling it off and like holding Volkov back a little bit?
Potentially.
Like
also
Volkov was on top of him.
Yeah, so potentially if Herb doesn't get in there, then Volkov just is hitting him 3 or 4 more times. So you could see the damage coming. Potentially Herb maybe should have let him one or two more through and then jumped in. Make sure it's certain so we don't have this question of was it too early? Yeah. But then also Rosenstruck was wobbled a little bit, and that's how kind of he was ended up back on the cage in the first place. He's got fighter safety in mind, so hard job to do.
It's the hardest job in the world.
You get
so hard.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Problem for Herb is he refs thousands of fights, though the main events are the ones that people all see and watch. And yes, some of those calls end up being 50-50. His track record overall, the other 8 fights he probably did on the undercard where he was all good, and it was just this one, with more eyeballs, people noticed and was like, maybe I would have wanted to see more violence, more blood. But he jumped in there. Volkov gets the win, keeps his name in that, I think he's top 5-ish conversation now.
Yeah, so I think it was 7 versus 8. Yeah. Volkov was 7, Rosenstruck's 8.
Yeah.
Monks, if you wouldn't mind getting
push his name into that conversation.
The UFC heavyweights up, yeah.
I think Ngannou in Johnny Bones Jones has been the chat for a while as the next one. I think Francis had some MCL problems coming into his heavyweight fight. But yeah, with Stipe kind of being a bit quiet and how that division is currently, there's not too much happening. So it's good for Volkov to keep his name in there and keep pushing his way into potential conversation for a top 5 competitor for someone that's maybe waiting for something to happen.
Let's get stuck into the UFC 275, which will unfold Sunday.
Yep.
Our time, Saturday night, obviously over there in the States. 2 title fights. So we get to see the men's light heavyweight champ, Glover Teixeira. How old is he? 42?
I think.
Early
40s from memory.
Taking on Yuri Prohaska, getting his first shot at a title. And then women's flyweight, Valentina Shevchenko probably starts as a short favourite against Talia Santos. We've got Zhang Wei Li and Joanna Juzaj. She hasn't fought for quite some time.
Well, since they last fought, we looked that up last week.
2 years.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Disappointing. That's only a 3-round fight.
Yeah,
because of course they did five rounds.
Would love to see 5 rounds. The rest of the main card is Roguero Bonteron versus Manuel Cabe, and Jack Madalena versus Ramazan Evett.
I think Jack might be an Australian.
I think he is, yeah. I think he is too.
It's good to get him on the main card. Actually, Jack Matthews is definitely Australian, and he's on the undercard there. So a few Aussies on this one.
What's our thoughts here, boys? Can Glover, being as old as he is, take on Yuri Prohaska?
I did, because I've seen recently Gustafsson coming out of retirement, has been training. Well, famously has like a 10-punch combination to beat Glover. Of course, was doing the rounds recently during the weeks with this fight coming up.
Pushed John Jones
So
twice.
I think Gustafsson has a fight booked for, I think it's like 3 or 4 fight nights from this one. So get his name straight back in that conversation, considering all the guys that he's beaten all these guys currently now in this conversation, and all the guys he couldn't beat are all gone. So it'd be interesting to see with Alex getting in here. I think Yuri probably takes this. I'm going to back the young blood. Very unorthodox, very interesting style of fighting against Glover in this, and then I'm pushing that Gustafsson potential comeback, big Swede, come back here and finally maybe getting his chance at winning a belt. That's my chat here.
He wouldn't be that old, Alexander Gustafsson.
No, he retired very young because he basically was gatekeeper. He got roadblocked because he couldn't. DC was moved up to heavyweight. John Jones was kind of in and out. He got his 2 chances at Jones. Probably won one of those fights. Lost by decision. And I guess he's not happy with the conversation of the Rumble and how it all played out in that division when he was there. Disappointed, left, hungry again, coming back. And he's got a fight scheduled, I think, for in a month or so's time.
Yeah, so he's 35 years old. His last fight in the UFC was back in July 2020 against Fabricio Verdum, where he lost by submission to armbar.
Was that at heavyweight? Because I think he
Verdum
would
be
have to
heavyweight.
be.
I think he went up a division, didn't work out, and he's
heavyweight debut for him.
So he's come back. I think he's back at light heavyweight.
Yep. Not sure what he's going to be at this fight, but next fight, UFC Fight Night 208 over in London against Nikita Krylov, and that's in July.
Coming up.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
And what about Shevchenko and Talia Santos? Surely Shevchenko gets this done, but I know we've been...
Call 911 and get the homicide squad out there.
We've been surprised recently, No one expected Juliana Pena to knock off Amanda Nunes.
Nah.
That's not happening.
I guess.
So Santos is ranked 4th at the moment.
Well, Valentino, like we've just been talking about, beating everyone else in that division already. It's probably a bit disappointing that Nunes has lost her belt because they were on a track for, I think, a 4th fight as the 2 best women within martial arts. But Nunes has got other jobs to do now to get back into that conversation. So, how favoured is she going into this?
I'd be interested to see. I think it's going to be very short. $1.14 you can get for Valentina Shevchenko. Talia Santos $5.80.
Anything over $1.10, I think, is probably good value.
Should. Zhang Weili and Joanna Jedrzej.
Hard one to pick because I got to go back into the memory banks and pull this fight out because I think Zhang started well, winning the early rounds in this, and then Joanna came back into this fight late, getting the championships rounds, which I think led to a split decision loss in this one because I think Weili kind of faded towards the end of this fight, and then I think Joanna, was this the fight that she had she looked like the scariest you had all the hematomas and like her head had like swollen up heaps.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that was
when
this
she got
fight.
fucked up.
Yeah. So, Zhang Weili hits hard. That's proof by that. But I think she came back into those late rounds. So with this being a shorter fight, I think favours Weili in this one.
Can you confirm that Jack Madalena is Aussie?
Yep. Yeah, he's Aussie.
So I back him.
Of course.
Have to back him.
Yeah.
At welterweight to start off the card.
Yep. So 25 years old. His record at the moment is 11-2, 9 by KO.
Very good.
So yeah, hopefully be a pretty good fight, that one.
Can't wait to watch it all unfold next Sunday, our time. F1, boys, what happened? Sergio Perez gets a win.
Well, we were leading into Monaco being that night of last podcast. So that Grand Prix did go down. Was wet. They delayed the start of the race a fair bit, and then it took a while to get into the race. Ended up being a lot of pit strategy. Red Bulls probably outdid the Ferraris in the sense to...
Well, Ferrari just straight up fucked up their pit strategy.
Yeah, they went to Inters like a lap before everyone went to full slicks. So they had to then re-pit and then lose track position essentially to keep going. So.
Yeah, not even that. So they had...
Leclerc out in front.
He was behind Sainz.
Yes. Okay.
They double stacked the pit.
Yes.
So they put Sainz in and then Leclerc went straight in after him on the same lap. So that meant that Leclerc didn't have the opportunity to have that free lap.
Mm-hmm.
Without Sainz in front of him to try and gain that position, try to leapfrog Sainz and hopefully get back into the lead. Yeah, true.
But before they double stacked, Leclerc did come in to change from full wets to Inters, whereas Sainz was very adamant, just like, stay on this tyre, we'll switch to slicks when it dries up.
Yeah.
So, which ended up playing out dividends for him. But through that period, Perez, they got the pit stops right for him. He actually leaped his... teammate in this one in Verstappen. So, and then that's basically how they ended, which was the same result as the crash in qualifying, which everyone thought was funny. Perez was 1, Sainz was 2, Max was 3rd, and then, of course, Leclerc in 4th. They were well out in front of everyone.
Yep.
George finished 5th to keep his 5th streak going. Who was 6th? Because I think Alonso was 7th, wasn't he? Yeah. And bloody Alonso decided to save his tyres for the race and was 3 or 4 seconds a lap slower than the leaders. But considering Monaco is a thin circuit, we talked about this.
Hard to overtake.
Yeah, everyone behind Alonso all the way back to the last car was within half a second of each other.
Really?
Because they were just backed up. He created what we will call the Alonso train. So Hamilton, of course, was probably the biggest loser of this because he was the first car behind Alonso and really couldn't get an opportunity to attack. And most drivers couldn't get an opportunity to attack because if they did, there was still water off the racing line, slippery.
Yeah.
So
I think Sainz had a massive...
He got a regather on the straight. The Chinese driver, Guangzhou, also going down out of the tunnel, lost it big and managed to recover it. His quote was, I tried. I'm going to need a new set of pants.
As in he shit himself?
Yeah, because essentially, doing max speed in the F1 car at this circuit.
Oh, yeah.
They come into the wet and the car's going left and right, and he's trying to keep it from ending it in the wall. And he was like, I tried the overtake. I shat myself in this process, but...
That's it.
They were the main storylines. Perez re-signed afterwards.
Yep. Oh, no, another one. Mick Schumacher had a massive crash.
Yes. Split the car in half.
Yes, split the car in half.
As designed.
Yeah, supposedly. It's as designed now. So after the Grosjean crash a couple of years ago, massive fireball, the F1 cars are now designed to split in half if they're, I guess, hitting that right spot, that sweet spot.
Yeah, they were saying the driveline, say engine to gearbox, was all too strong, which could potentially do other damage elsewhere on the failure. So in the crash of a big crash like this, get the car to separate, that disappears, and then you've left with the driver cockpit all by itself. So very interesting. Did a job. Caused a red flag and all of this. More tyre strategy, etc. And I think didn't the Ferrari stay on hards in this, and then the Red Bulls got a free pit stop.
Possibly, I can't remember.
Anyway, it didn't matter too much.
Yeah. So, did we go on through the order?
I got up to 5. Who was 6?
All right. Yeah. So 6 was Norris.
And 7.
Fernando was 7.
7, and then
Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel.
Yeah. So let's finish on Perez. Becomes the most wins by a Mexican driver in F1 history with 3. They were equal on 2. Then he signed his extension during the week. Some chat about a quote that he made to Horner going up to the podium that I shouldn't have signed yet. And everyone's just like, did they have it already in the works because they announced it post-race?
Yeah.
So he's going to stay there until 2024. Kind of showed himself to be the perfect teammate for Max. in this team, does exactly what they want, scores bulk points, helps them stay in that context for constructor, but also helps prioritise Max when need to keep pushing the world title fight. So they obviously love him there, even though he's a bit of an older driver. With the young guys they got at AlphaTauri, they can then focus. That's their team sort of side of it. So good job for him. He'll be there for another. Was that end up being 2 seasons?
Something like that. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Like if he keeps on having this kind of form, I'm like, you're going to have 2 very, very competitive race cars in Verstappen and Perez. So
did you see
whether he continues to follow team orders or whether...
did you see Daddy Verstappen's comments during the week?
No, what did he say?
He was saying they shouldn't have prioritised Perez's race strategy over Max's. I was like, I don't think they could have done anything different without losing positions to the Ferraris. So
was that a classic case of the old man just trying to stick up for the young fella? And
Max has a world title to win. So either way, he still got bulk points. His main competitor currently, Leclerc, did finish behind him, so he didn't lose out in that regards.
Yeah. So Verstappen's still leading the championship on 125 points. Leclerc's behind him at 116. And Perez climbing the board at 110.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Sainz is in fourth.
Russell
with consistency.
Consistency, 84 points, and Sainz just behind him on 83.
I can see the Mercedes coming back in the second half of this year. They've definitely looked better. Just need to qualify well and they can compete with these 2 other teams. Someone that isn't doing so great is our lad Ricciardo. Still struggling with the car. There's been a lot of chat about him from a lot of different personalities, even from Zach Brown, the team principal himself. Constantly being outperformed by Lando. Finished 14th in this race or 12th. Out of the points is probably the main thing, which is not helping his chances. So that noise on Ricciardo is only growing louder, which is a concern. He needs some results soon, get some points.
He was 13th.
Compete with 13th. There you go, right in the middle of the 2 I said. Got to compete with Lando going forward.
That's it,
and that's F1. Week off this week, and then the Azerbaijan GP
Baku.
Yes.
Yep.
I think before then they go to Canada and then they go back fly over the big pond and then go back into England.
Great Britain, Silverstone.
Bit of travel for them.
Yeah, they're bitching about travel and then they don't do, geographically located races together. They just hop back and forth. Anyway, I think that's what the plan is for next season. They'll try to do, let's call it a tour, do tours of certain continents instead of bouncing back and forth between the continents.
That's it, Well, again, I guess that's the underlying story for F1 this year is what's going to happen with they have to give up 1 or 2 races of the regular circuits for next season. So
they were all the big teams are bitching about the cost cap as well during the week, and all the little teams can we increase it? And all the teams are like, apparently, no. So they agreed to the cap, and they have inflation probably hasn't helped them. So but it, of course, doesn't help.
Oil prices at the moment it's pretty expensive.
Yes. I've seen some chat in the US is like you won't be able to pay for fuel to then drive to work to then make money to actually feed yourself. So back to the US chat. Anyway, that's F1.
Let's wrap it up with a bit of tennis and golf. Just quickly in the tennis, the French Open has been underway, and Iga Swiatek, she wins her 2nd title at Roland Garros. She was the number 1 seed, absolutely dominated the competition for the whole tournament. 35 matches won in a row. That is the best winning streak in chicks tennis for about 20 years. I thought it might have been a record, and then had a look at the stats. Martina Navratilova won 74 in a row back in 1984, so Iga's got a bit to go there. It was a bit of an unpredictable tournament. There was 5 seeds that went out in the first round, 9 in the second. So Swiatek, the only one of the top 10 to make the quarters.
Did you see some of the chat from former legends from the women's game about their thoughts on where the women's game currently is? Regarding that it's not watchable?
I don't know. I just think
Yeah, that's uninteresting.
Well,
compared to the men's game, of course.
Nah, I think
my question.
I think Swiatek was just wiping the floor with everyone this tournament.
Well, I think that's the point. Is no Ash Barty, and I don't know Williams sisters in this tournament.
No.
So none of the big names from recent years.
Yeah.
It's lost the luster that say the men's game has, considering Rafa's going to his 1000th final in the French Open as a comparison.
I think that's a little bit of old ladies being a bit bitter to me,
True.
and not giving Swiatek credit where credit's due. She's on an unbelievable run. Obviously, very, very good on clay.
You could just say the game's in that transition state from previous superstars to the new superstars. They just haven't set itself. Maybe this is the one.
Yeah,
she's the number one in the world at the moment.
Should be unreal for a long time, I think.
Yeah. And if she keeps that going for the foreseeable future, then yes, maybe she gets into that conversation. Well, she's the next Serena Williams, and everyone's watching it and enjoying it. But I guess they're just in that transition period at the moment where they've got to build up the next lot of big stars within the sport.
Interesting in mentioning Rafa and the men's tournament. Rafa will play Casper Ruud, the Norwegian, coming into his first Grand Slam final. He's never been past the fourth round. So forget about quarters, forget about semi-finals. Casper Ruud going to the finals of Roland Garros. We spoke about Rafa and trying to get a more of a lead
over Novak.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, in the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slams. So currently Rafa on 21, Novak Djokovic on 20. If Rafa is to win tonight, he will go 2 ahead and put the pressure back on Novak to catch him. Has 13 French Open championships.
Yeah, I heard the betting agencies are paying Rafa out round 1. So.
Really?
I'm kidding.
I was like, as a fifth seed, it's impressive.
I'm joking because it's Nadal. It's French Open Nadal, 13 wins.
Synonymous.
Yeah. Well, considering over half of his tournament wins are, of course, at the French Open, it's definitely a place that he loves to play. And it's the only clay one isn't it, of the big.
It is, of the Grand Slams, the only one on clay. So interesting to see what happens. Will Rafa be able to increase his lead in the Grand Slams?
Fingers crossed, hopefully.
Or will Casper Ruud, be rude not to, etc., be able to knock off Rafa on clay? Time will tell. About 12 hours to go. Shout out in the golf to Minjee Lee. She's an Australian. She is playing for the US Open in the ladies. I think she's three shots ahead. And Billy Horschel has a commanding lead there in the Memorial. I think it's the highest paid tournament outside of the majors in the golf. Billy Horschel, 5 shots ahead of Australia's own Cameron Smith. You got to see him holding out. Don't know which hole, but out of the rough, and you reckon as you watch it, he's left it that short, and it just hops on the green and just does a little dance straight down, holds it out. Elite short game out of Cam Smith. Be interesting to see what happens in both the Memorial and in the ladies overnight.
No, definitely.
That'll, I think, finish us up. Do you want to do a quick footy score check? Do you want to know? Can you guess who won that game between Hawthorn and Collingwood?
Hawthorn.
Collingwood won by 4 points.
68
to 72.
Wow.
So we
had Collingwood early lead, Hawthorn fought back, and then Collingwood getting another win by not much.
So they were on 68 points when we switched off them. So they didn't score a point from there on.
Yeah, right.
Wow. So that's 20. I think they scored 20 points unanswered.
So that means Pies finish round 12 in 8th. They jump over a bunch of teams there. How are we going in the rugby league? Half time?
Yeah, Raiders ahead 12-6. It looks like a sloppish game. I've seen a lot of Roosters attacking Raiders line, and they've seemed to held out, and they've got a few that one that I saw Savage scoring there looked like an easy hit back there with a good pickup on his toes to get over and get a try.
Savage scored, did he?
Yes, he did.
I've got him skipper in my fantasy team this week, considering...
Good call.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, why not just have the Origin game, when there's four games, why not just have a bye in the fantasy? No, you have to play.
Still have to play.
So Xavier Savage is my skipper.
Do they include Origin in the fantasy?
No, they don't.
Maybe they should.
That'd be smart. That'd be clever. At NRL Fantasy.
Yeah. Another genius solution there from On The Esky.
Yeah.
That's it.
Getting us a long way in life, as it is. Boys, thanks for the yarn. Thanks for the dribble. Thanks for the unsolicited advice on all kinds of sports. Appreciate it. Shout out to Josh Cameron if you're this far in. Had a beer with him on Friday night. Listens to the Esky every week. Yeah, he might be the only one.
Long-suffering fan.
Yeah, long-suffering. Hope you're having a good week.
I miss us, don't even listen to this dribble. So
that's right. We'll be back next week. We'll have a few extra games in the NBA Finals. We'll know the winner of this England-New Zealand test. Mm-hmm. We'll have the weeks that were in the footy, and obviously a massive game in the State of Origin, Game 1 there in Sydney, plus all other rumours and dribble and...
UFC fight as well.
Yeah, UFC 275. That will happen.
Well, it'll be close to... Depends on when we do potty.
Might do Monday. Public holiday.
Oh, yeah, we could do
Public
Monday.
Holiday.
So it could be post. Yes,
Could do. So hopefully we'll wrap up UFC 275. There'll be lots of chat. There'll be lots of dribble. We'll see you then.
Yep. Sounds good.
There you go. Goodbye.
Bye.